that there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there. You can feel it.
Get up on out the bed, start to move your balls. Let's hook up a word in Solomon Jones. Word. You better wake up now.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Wake Up with Word. We got a whole lot to talk about on this morning show. But the first thing I want to mention is that I did go to a screening of the movie Harriet last night. It is the story of Harriet Tubman, and it is phenomenal. It is a phenomenal movie. So when that comes out, I'm going to need y'all to go out and show up and show out because the movie is inspiring. The movie is uplifting. The movie is empowering. It let me know, man, that even now, as we fight against abuse, as we fight against racism, as we fight to make sure that our people are treated like everybody else, that we are doing the right thing, that we are literally listening to the voice of God, that we are moving in the right direction, and we need to keep doing what we do. So just a wonderful, wonderful movie, man, about our people and about our struggle and about our desire and our determination to be free. So that's the good news. But I got some bad news yesterday. I learned that one of my son's classmates was shot dead in Philadelphia this weekend, and I'm numb. As much as I want to believe I can comfort him in this moment, all I can do is listen and hug him and love him and pray. Because I could never imagine losing a friend that way as a grown man, let alone as a teenager. But this is our reality now. It's a reality where trivial beefs are settled with guns, and the finality of it all is etched into our minds each time we turn on the news. We shake our heads and make a great show of condemning the violence, and then we go right back to checking text messages and collecting likes and complaining about our busy lives. I guess I could do what's expected right now and condemn the ones doing the shooting, but instead, I'd like to speak to the ones who are thinking about picking up guns, because I need our boys to know they have a choice. The same eye you fix on a target is the eye you can use to see your future. That eye can see the woman you love carrying your heart and then your name and then your child. That same eye can watch your children grow and your career take off and your life stretch out beyond the moment. Those hands you use to hold the gun can hold the keys to your first home or wipe the tears from your daughter's face. It can turn the pages to her first picture book and pull the blanket around her shoulders as she sleeps. The feet you use to run away from the crime scene can instead carry you across a stage, and as you take your diploma and look out at loved ones whose faces hold smiles instead of tears, whose voices are raised in joy instead of grief, whose hearts are filled with pride instead of shame, those feet can carry you out into a world that you helped to shape. Those hands and eyes and those feet can give you more than you could ever imagine if only you would put down the gun. You're bigger than the moment. You're larger than your circumstance. You're more gifted than you know. And if you'll trust yourself enough to reach beyond rage, you can live a life of endless possibilities. And those choices are right there in front of you. All you have to do is put down the gun. We got a hot show for you today on Wake Up with Word. Temple Professor Lynn Washington on the impeachment mess. Lawyer David Rudofsky on the big increase in blacks being stopped in cars. Is it racial profiling? Plus, panelist Azuline Mayfield on the upcoming onWURD event. And dear Melanie has another hilarious answer to one of life's biggest questions. And as always, we've got you, our listeners, calling in at 215-634-8065 or toll free 1-866-361-0900. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at onWURD, or you can hit me personally at Solomon Jones 1. Watch us on Facebook at forward. But first, it's the big three, the news stories you need to know to kick off your day right here on Wake Up with Word. Story number one, days after a court ruling that could clear the way for the nation's first safe injection site to open in Philadelphia. U.S. Attorney William McSwain is not having it. He vowed to use all enforcement tools at his disposal to shut down any facility that opens before the Justice Department has exhausted its appellate options. Possible drug seizures, arrests, and criminal forfeiture proceedings are all on the table, McSwain wrote in an October 11th letter addressed to Alana Eisenstein, attorney for Safe House, the nonprofit that hopes to open that facility where people in addiction could use drugs in a shooting gallery with people with white coats on. Yeah, I said it. Yes, I did. Here's what he said in the letter. If you and your clients choose to move forward immediately, then you will force my hand, and I will have no choice but to take the steps necessary to maintain the status quo. Supporters of such sites say that the judge's decision, Gerald McHugh was the judge's name, was a great decision, and a handful of other cities are mulling sites to prevent some of the thousands of overdose deaths. And here's the thing, right? Y'all don't live in the community where this is going on. And this is the thing that irks me the most about it. The people who are pushing for this do not live in the community where this is going on. How do I know? Because I'm in that community. I go to that community. I talk to these people. I hear from them constantly, and they don't want it. They want you to come and clean up what's going on there now. People are literally crapping on the sidewalk in Kensington because they're on drugs. People are leaving needles all over the place in Kensington because they're on drugs. People are breaking into people's houses, breaking into their cars, breaking into businesses. And then the person who did a survey on behalf of Drexel University claiming that the community wanted it is the same person who was on the mayor's committee to suggest this in the first place. That's a conflict of interest. Her name is Alexis Roth, and yeah, she was on the mayor's committee that recommended this thing in the first place, and then you go in and talk about you doing a study on something that you recommended. Come on, man. Story number 2. Senator Elizabeth Warren drew repeated fire from her competitors in the Democrats' 4th presidential debate Tuesday night, while Joe Biden faded to the background for long stretches, underscoring how much the primary campaign has shifted. That's how they tell it in Philly.com. I listened to a little bit of it. We're going to let you listen to a little bit of it as we move forward in the show, but it looked like Warren is now the target. She is the person who is emerging as a possible front runner. In some polls, she is already the front runner, and they went at her on her Medicare for All plan, which is not really clear how she's going to pay for that. It's not really clear whether your taxes are going to go up because of that. There's a lot of things about that plan that are not clear, but Elizabeth Warren looked like she was able to take some of those blows and still come out on top. We'll see what happens with this going forward. And then story number 3, Michael White, accused of fatally stabbing real estate developer Sean Skellinger near Rittenhouse Square last year, testified Tuesday that in the moments before Skellinger tried to tackle him during a spontaneous encounter, he told White, "I'm going to beat the black off you." In his first public remarks on the stabbing, White, 22, told jurors at his voluntary manslaughter trial that Skellinger's comment was the second time in just a few seconds that he had seen or heard Skellinger or his friends utter racial remarks during a traffic dispute at 17th and Chancellor in July 2018. In testimony that lasted several hours, White said he was afraid for his safety when Skellinger, 37, began approaching him and hurled the racial remark at him. He said he pulled out a knife to try to scare him away, but he used it in self-defense as Skellinger, who he described as red-faced and aggressive, sought to take him to the ground. "I wasn't trying to kill nobody," White said. "I was trying to get him off me." So I want to know if you've been following the Michael White trial. He is using self-defense as his defense strategy. Of course, it is a racially charged case. Michael White is black. Sean Skellinger was white. He was a developer. He had a past that was riddled with some violent incidents. He had been charged in violent incidents prior to this. And so he unfortunately came upon Michael White, who was willing to defend himself. and Sean Skellinger lost his life. The charges were reduced, and now Michael White certainly facing some jail time in this case. But he says, look, it's self-defense. The man came at me. He tried to throw me on the ground. He tried to body slam me. I was very afraid for my life. And here's my question. Why is it that when cops say I was afraid for my life and kill us, is it okay? But when we say I was afraid for my life and someone loses their life in the process, it's not okay. Why is it okay for some people to say, I feared for my life. That's why I took the action that I did. I thought that this person who was unarmed, who was 50-something years old, who was running away from me, Walter Scott, I shot him in the back. I feared for my life. He was trying to take my stuff. No, he was running away. You know, I feared for my life. This man was, he was going to his car and he was walking away from me and he had his hands in the air and I feared for my life. Tulsa, Oklahoma, the police officer who shot the man while he was standing there with his hands up next to his car. You know, I feared for my life. I thought he was going to kill me, even though he didn't have a gun, even though he was unarmed, even though his hands were in the air. I feared for my life. Well, why did you fear? You know, what was his weapon? Was it the color of his skin? Was it the way he walked? Was it the way he talked? Like, what was it that made you fear for your life? And yet, Michael White said, look, I feared for my life. This person was trying to throw me to the ground. This person might have killed me in the process. He was red-faced. He was aggressive. He was using racial epithets. I thought he was going to try to kill me. I feared for my life. I defended myself. Why is it not okay for him to say, I did this in self-defense? But when we get killed, all of a sudden, everybody feared for their lives. I want to hear from you. Are you following this case? And when is it okay to say, I did this in self-defense? Or is it just okay for certain people to say that? I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. We were talking about that this morning. But also, and it's a recurring theme, but now it's close to home. One of my son's classmates unfortunately lost his life to gun violence. And, I hugged my son extra tight last night, man, because it could have been him. It could have been any of our kids. You know? And my question is, what do we do? Because we cannot just allow this to continue. We can't just sit back and say, we dodged a bullet this time. They didn't get mine. You know, what can we do in order to step into the lives of these predominantly young men, right? What can we do to step into the lives of young women? So that they can be an influence, so that they can make sure that the boys that are growing up with them are not settling these petty disputes with guns. How do we step in? You know, now I work through my church and we do a mentoring program. I'm going to talk to the kids today. We go and meet them, every week at Pennypacker School. Shout out to those young men who we've been working with for a number of years now. And I feel like we need to be stepping into the lives of these kids before they get to the age where they're willing to pick up a gun. We need to let them know before that these are the possibilities that are available to you. These are the things that can happen for you. This is the life that is possible for you if you would just put down the gun. And I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. What are you willing to do? That's what I want to know. What are you willing to do in order to keep these kids, man, from picking up these guns and ruining not only their own lives, but the lives of their families, the lives of their victims, the lives of their victims' families, cleaning out neighborhoods of young men and young women who could be anything if they would just put down the gun. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation. Let's talk to Erwin from Germantown on line 1. Go ahead, Erwin.
Hey, Brother Solomon, this is Ren. How you doing?
I'm good, Zoran. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. I just want to make a comment on the first part. We talking about it all boils down to race.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's all race.
Yep.
And I say this because we know how white males can be. Every time white tells a story, I can imagine it. I can feel it. It's visceral because I already know the first thing they jump to. I mean, he had cocaine in the system. He has a history of aggression.
Yep.
So as soon as you tell the story, it's almost like I'm there. It's almost like I can hear, because that's what they did. The first thing they jump to is calling you the N-word. I'm gonna and I'm gonna defeat you. That's by any means, and that's their thing. And so it's all race. And then we go to the police. The reason why police can get away with it is because it's a white establishment that we're working for. And I know who I work for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm a black man, but I know who I work for. It's institutionalized racism. And this is the same way, and then you look at black on black. Now, somebody's definitely going to do time in that also, because it's like, okay, we got two black men out of here with one gun. You know what I mean? He took the life of somebody who looks like him, so that's one gone, and we're going to roof the other one. So it's all about race, and you ain't never seen no black cop killing no white people.
No,
and when it happens, he gonna pay.
That's right. It happened in Louisiana. They went to jail. They got 40 years.
And the brother who was actually the Ethiopian police officer, I believe it was 2 years ago, when he got that white woman. He did time. He's doing time. Excuse me. So everything is race, and I feel bad for people who don't want to look at that. I mean, they're sadly mistaken. Yeah. So that's all. It's all about race.
I hear you.
And I just want to thank you for everything you're doing out here, brother.
Thank you, Zoran. I appreciate you, man, and thank you for everything you're doing, too. We appreciate it. We are going to go to break, and on the other side, we're going to continue to take your calls. I'm Solomon Jones, and I want to remind you to join Word Radio on October 20th from 2 to 5 at Bartram's Garden for an interactive conversation about environmental racism, how it impacts our daily lives, and what we as a community can do about it. It's onWURD with John Francis, Janine Kayumbe, Zuline Mayfield, Joanne Douglas, Ill-Fated Natives, and more. It's all brought to you by Broke in Philly and the Wincoat Foundation. You can, of course, go to wordradio.com or call 215-425-7875 to RSVP for this event. It's onWURD, October 20th from 2 to 5 at Bartram's Garden. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Now, a traffic update on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by MedExpress Urgent Care. Traffic at a jam this morning in spots looking at the Schuylkill Expressway. It's a busy ride both ways, eastbound from 202 through Belmont. Heavy again, delays from the Boulevard through the Vine westbound. Your jam there to Southing and the Boulevard generally out through Conshohocken, westbound Vine 8th out through Broad. That is busy eastbound. Your delays from the Schuylkill Expressway through Broad Street. Then an accident still on the ramp to the Ben Franklin Bridge 6th Street off to the shoulder there. That ramp reopened, but still a bit slow. 95 southbound, that jams Cottman down through Girard, northbound through the city. No major problems. 42 north, your jam Blackwell Clementon through 295. 55 north, jamming Deptford in the 42. 295 both ways in the 42. A bit of a busy ride there now this morning. MedExpress walk-in patient first approach minimizes the stress around seeing your provider so you can focus on what's important, getting back to full strength. Enjoy unmatched convenience when you need it. MedExpress Urgent Care. For more traffic information, log on to signalert.com. I'm Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Brothers and sisters, don't miss The Source. Weekdays 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Word Radio. WordRadio.com and the Word Radio app.
My name is Denise Myers. I like to dedicate a senior center because of the feeling I got when I went there. I woke up that morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, I asked the Lord, if this center for me, let me feel some kind of connection. And when I went, I felt the connection of the love and all the hugs. I just felt that connection with that office. I love my doctor, Dr. Kamar. He has helped me in a lot of ways because I was on a lot of medication and I felt tired and sleepy all the time. He took a lot of my medicine for me, and ever since then I had plenty of energy and joy. And I just feel better, feel like I'm a young girl again. This is the place for you, because I have seen people, not only me got better, I see other people improving their health.
Experience the dedicated difference. Call for a free VIP tour. 267-443-1900. That's 267-443-1900. Dedicated Senior Medical Centers.
Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM. WURD.
Family Therapy Vignette Moments with Dr. Lucille Ijoy. Is it time to consider a nursing home for someone? Nursing home journeys are not easy. Talk with your family and the person who will be the patient. Be open for ideas and ready for a few tears or pushbacks. Check with health professionals and nursing home facilities. Gather your team who can be visitors for the new resident. Stay prayerful. You've come this far by faith, so keep the faith and go forward.
Honey, it's our favorite time of year, and I got you something to celebrate.
A McRib! It's just what I wanted.
Happy McRib season, sweetie.
I love you.
I love you too.
Actually, I was talking to my McRib.
Oh, okay, well, I'll leave you two alone.
McRib season is here, but not for long. Get one now for just $3.99. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD, and we're taking your calls at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. We're talking about a couple of things this morning. Certainly there are some things going on nationally, but I feel like this morning we need to talk about what's happening in Philadelphia. For those who don't know and have not been following the trial, Michael White, who is a young black man, he's 22 years old, is on trial, and he's facing, I believe, manslaughter charges in the death of a white man, Sean Skellinger, who was a developer. There was a car accident in Rittenhouse Square. Michael White was a bike messenger. He was riding by. He and Skellinger got into an argument. Skellinger threatened him. Michael White pulled out a knife. Skellinger ran at him and tried to body slam him. Michael White defended himself, and Sean Skellinger lost his life. Now, Michael White is claiming self-defense in the killing of Sean Skellinger, who, by all accounts, was not a choir boy. He was someone who had alcohol and cocaine in his system at the time of his death. He's someone who had been involved in violent incidents before. He is someone who had actually been charged in violent incidents before. And so he had a track record of violence. Michael White is claiming self-defense. My question is this. Michael White is a young black man. Will his claim of self-defense in a case that cost a white man his life be believed? I want to know what you think, because other folks can claim self-defense. They can claim, I feared for my life, right? You got a gun, the black person doesn't. I feared for my life, but I shot him because I was scared. Scared of what? You the one with the gun. What were you afraid of? And they claim it and they get off. Sometimes they don't even get charged. And I'm not just talking about in police cases. I'm talking about stand your ground cases. I'm talking about cases like Trayvon Martin. Cases like that, where you got a guy who, you know, okay, you call the police like, look, man, leave this dude alone. We'll come, we'll handle it. You're following him until you spark a confrontation, and then you shoot him dead and claim, oh, stand your ground. You know, can we also claim self-defense? Can we also say we feared for our lives, right? Can we have that same treatment that other folks get when they kill us and we're unarmed and the only thing that's dangerous is the color of our skin? Can we claim it too? I want to know what you think. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. And, of course, we're also talking about the violence that is taking place with our young people, man. I just think that they need to know the kinds of possibilities that they have, that they need to be able to see beyond the moment, and we need to be able to help them see beyond the moment. We need to let them know that the same eye that you use to aim that gun, you can use that eye to see into your future, right? The same hands that you use to hold that gun, you could use those hands to hold the keys to your first house, to hold your first child, to hold the woman you love, to hold the things that will bring you a future. The same feet you use to run away from the crime scene, you can use them to walk across the stage to get your high school diploma and then your college degree and then your master's degree and walk into a future that's bright instead of walking into a jail cell. Like, we need to let them know what's possible for them. So I want to know from you, what are you willing to do to help our kids, man, escape this violence that's taking them far too soon? And I don't know about you, but for me, it's getting closer and closer to home. One of my son's classmates lost his life to gun violence over the weekend, 15 years old, man. What are you willing to do to help stop it? 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. You can, of course, follow us on onWURD on Facebook and comment there as well. Let's go down the line. Anthony from Delaware is on line one. Go ahead, Anthony.
Good morning, Solomon. I just want to congratulate you on, your performance on the radio. I believe every minute that you're on this radio, you make good time of. You don't waste a minute. You remind me of Joanne Reed.
Thank you, brother.
Minute, you don't waste a minute. What I called to say was America has a nasty race problem. And I think authoritarian governments around the world, they figured out America. And I think that they want Donald Trump to win. They want to take down America or make America just weak. And the more that white people are not able to treat us and see us as human, the more the rest of the world applauds. And they enjoy that. They want him to win. As much as we don't, they want him to win. They want to take down America. I don't believe white people, they were made up, some white people, not all, to be able to see us as equal or as full human beings. I don't know if it's in them to be able to see that.
I think people are trained that way. I think it depends on, what you're taught to believe. Racism is taught. I remember when I was, this must have been maybe, no, it had to be 15 years ago. My son was a baby, so we went to a little restaurant downtown called Pietro's, right? So we in there, and my son is over the back of one bench, and this little white kid is over the back of the other bench, and they playing with each other and smiling at each other. And I looked at that and I said, look, little kids, man, when they're babies, all they see is another baby. That's taught. Racism is taught, man. That's not natural. It's something that's taught.
This is the main point. I think the authoritarian government that want to take down America, they figured us out, and they're going to keep trying to take out in the race. The more racism is in America, the better they feel, and they just feel like they can just take America out. And I don't know if, we can overcome that.
Yeah. I hear you.
Thank you.
I hear you. Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate your call. Let's go to Fran from West Philly online, too. Go ahead, Fran.
Good morning, Solomon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. So you asked the question, what are you willing to do to help our youth?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a grandmom, and my daughter, she works on the 2 to 11 shift. So I had to decide how am I going to help my grandson. And I decided to be hands-on. Hands-on. He's been in his youth group since 11. He's now 17. And there's plenty of youth that I'm also hands-on with. You have to be engaged.
Yeah.
We have to be engaged and encouraged, just like you said, to let them know that they can be and do anything that's possible, or that they can create in their spirit. It is, you have to be hands-on, and I won't name the youth group, but it is so very positive. And I'm also in law enforcement. So my motto is I want to get them involved in this youth group before they have to come see me.
That's right.
So
That's
there
right.
you have it.
That's right. Thank you so much, Fran. I appreciate that, and thank you for all that you do. Let's go to Wick from Center City on line 3. Go ahead, Wick.
Good morning, Solomon. How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm doing great. I have been following this case for the last 3 days, baby. I've been there 3 days out of the entire case.
Okay.
And it's totally a tragedy what has taken place. You have a young man fighting for his freedom, and you have another young man that has been deceased. It is a heated type of case, and these things escalate at any moment at any part of the city of Philadelphia. What I'm doing for my young folks, I have several grandsons.
Yeah.
I'm taking several of them to the hearing today so that they can witness what can take place when you make poor judgment. Now, Michael White, if anyone would see him, he is the ideal young man that was trying to do the right thing by going to school, by being in a magnet school. He's scared to death in this matter that's taking place today, because I've watched his body language and he's shaking like a leaf. Let me say this. We as black people in the city, in the country, have to remember that our emotions and our actions can be deadly, either in prison or dead on the street. And in some cases, we don't even have to be in an aggressive or emotional state of mind. We can be sitting in our living room. But we have to wake up and open our eyes, and as they say in the street, have your head on a swivel. You got to pay attention to everything.
So let me ask you this. Do you believe that Michael White was defending himself?
Yes.
So I'm then wondering in terms of the lesson that you are trying to teach, what kind of example is it that you are trying to use him to set if in fact he was defending himself?
One thing, I don't care what kind of weapon it is, whether it's a pipe, whether it's a baseball bat, or whether it's a knife, whether it's a gun. If you have it on your possession, at a split moment, you're going to use it. If you fear your life. And it's clearly that this young man, Sean, not only was it aggressive, he was going to pick this boy up, which he did, and he was going to slam him into the concrete. Now, it's very strange. A Caucasian woman came as a witness from Florida, and there was an incident at a club in Florida where Mr. Sean had to be taken down by 5 bouncers because when he drinks and have alcohol in his system, he turns into the Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking at his history of his behavior,
right,
his behavior clearly demonstrates that he believes that he can beat the world if there's a confrontation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
now,
I hear you. I hear you. I'm going to let you get one more point, but we got to go. Go ahead.
Now, you know, I'm a little older now.
Yeah.
But when I was 17, 20 years old,
Mm-hmm.
30, I might have stood my grounds too. And that's the difference between having age between us when we make decisions.
All right. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. We're going to go back to the phone lines, talk to Sonny from South Philly on line 4. Good morning.
Good morning, Solomon.
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine.
Good,
Solomon.
good.
Solomon, like you say about what's going on with these cops, and I look at black cops. I think white cops got to have the same training that black cops get.
Right.
Because black cops don't do nothing wrong to white folks. I don't know what kind of training that is. But they'll do something to their own before they do something to white folks. That's that. What kind of training is that? Do they have special training for whites and black? Special training for blacks? Because blacks stay in their place. They beat us up.
Well, here's what I would say to that. You got some cops, man, who don't abuse anybody. Like, they there to do the job. They want to go home, right? They form relationships with the community. You have some cops who do it that way. And then you have some. Well, that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you have some cops who do it another way. And so I think that we live in a society that tells you from the time that you are born that white life is more valuable than black life. And I think that is the response that you see from those who are in authority. That when a white person approaches them or when they are in a situation with a white person, that training that you get from the time that you are a child kicks in. That tells you that, look, white life is more valuable, so you need to treat them differently. You need to treat them better. And that's a societal problem. That's not a police problem. That's society from the cradle to the grave tells you that white life matters more.
Yeah, well, I'm only saying that you like that young man that in this position now. But you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If he didn't have that knife, he might have not even been alive.
That's right. He might have killed him. Sonny, I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD, and thank you so much for showing up on Friday. You were there. We appreciate you, man. Always in the place, always supporting and always standing up. Sonny, we appreciate you. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue to take your calls. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Now, a traffic update on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Whole Foods Market. Traffic pretty busy in spots this morning. Looking at an accident, we have 295. First northbound, you're busy Woodbury into 42. Further north, then jam from 541 Mount Holly up to 130. An accident there. Southbound 30 into 42. Busy 42 northbound. Jam Blackwell Clementon to 295. 55 is 47 to 42. Ben Franklin Bridge. You're jammed now the length into Philadelphia. Southbound 95 at Jam Academy down through Girard. Northbound side, you're busy Island Avenue through Broad Street. Schuylkill Expressway. Both ways, east and westbound, heavy this morning. Westbound Turnpike, that is a jam ride from Willow Grove out through Fort Washington. Blue Route southbound Mid-County through the Schuylkill, Broome Multimedia Swarthmore. Northbound jam 95 through Route 1.
Hungry? Build a better lunch at Whole Foods Market, where the hot bars and salad bars are packed with organic veggies, globally inspired dishes, and more. Plus, every weekday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., Prime members save $2 per pound. More reason to take your lunch break at Whole Foods Market.
For more traffic information, log on to SigAlert.com. Jim Bachman with the Philadelphia area traffic.
Brothers and sisters, don't miss The Source. Weekdays 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Word Radio. WordRadio.com and the Word Radio app. Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation? Follow us on social media using the hashtag onWord. Be heard. Stay connected to Word Radio. Independent Black Media.
WHYY and the Literary Cafe will host the Philadelphia release of Open Season, Legalized Genocide of Color People by Ben Crump, Monday, October 21st at the WHYY studios from 6 to 8 p.m. The nationally known award-winning attorney has established himself as one of the foremost lawyers and advocates for social justice in the nation, working on some of the most high-profile cases in the U.S. You must register to attend. Visit WHYY.org for more information or call 215-878-BOOK. That's 215-878-2665.
Some knowledge belongs to us and us alone. The way our girlfriends walk, the way they talk, the way they touch their hair, We hold details that only a sister can know about her girls. But what about our other girls? The ones that we carry with us every day. Can we describe them when everything's right? Can we feel when something's wrong? Our bond with our sister girls gives life. But knowing your breasts can save it. Go to knowyourgirls.org for the facts you need on breast health. That's knowyourgirls.org. Brought to you by Susan G. Coleman and the Ad Council.
You're waking up
with Word.
Hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. We are just talking about a number of things this morning. One of them is the Michael White trial. Michael White, young black man, 22 years old, who is now facing trial in the killing of Sean Skellinger, who Michael White says he killed in self-defense. Sean Skellinger, a developer, white man who had a history of violence. And Michael White said that he came at him, tried to slam him on the ground. Michael White stabbed him, he says, in self-defense, and Sean Skellinger died. Michael White now facing trial. He is using a self-defense strategy. And my question is, can a black person do that when a white person has lost their life, right? Is that something that the court system is going to allow us to do? Is that something that can be successful for us? Because I've seen a lot of people say, I feared for my life when they were facing an unarmed black person. I thought they were going to kill me. Well, you got the gun, right? They have nothing. And you're the one who's in fear of your life and actually get away with using that defense. So my question is that a defense that a black person can use? I guess we'll find out in the Michael White case. This young man, by all accounts, a good young man, a young man who was going places, was doing a bike messenger job just to make some extra money, and comes upon this guy who attacks him, and Michael White defends himself, and unfortunately, this man lost his life. But he is saying, look, I did it in self-defense. Is that something that can work for black people? I want to know. And I guess we'll find out in this case, because I've seen it work for many others who said, I feared for my life. I thought he was going to kill me. You thought he was going to kill you with what? Right? His blackness? So I want to know what you think. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. We're also talking about the violence that is taking place amongst our young people. Just a sad thing to see, man. And you know, I think all of us know someone or know someone who knows someone who has lost their life to gun violence in our communities, and the victims are younger and younger, the perpetrators are younger and younger, and it is my contention that we need to figure out as a community how to get to these young people before they have the guns in their hands. Let them know that those same hands that you're using to hold that gun, you could use to hold the key to your first home. You could use those same hands to hold the woman that you love. You could use those same hands to hold your first child, to pull a blanket over their shoulders as they sleep, to turn the pages to a book that you read to them at night, right? You could use those same hands for that. Those eyes that you use to aim that gun, right? You could use those same eyes to look into a future that's bright. But all you got to do is put the gun down. Those same feet that you use to run away from the crime scene, you can use those same feet to walk across the stage and get your diploma. You can use those same feet to walk across another stage and get your college degree. You can use those same feet to walk into your first home. You can use those same feet to walk into a future. All you got to do is put down the gun, right? And so what are we willing to do in order to change the fortunes of our children? And when I say our children, I'm not just talking about your biological kids. I'm talking about the kids who interact with your kids, the kids that could either be a blessing or a curse to your kids. The kids who you think you don't have any responsibility for, and they're the ones who are terrorizing your community, and you're not willing to step up for them. Like, what are we willing to do? Because it's clear at this point that we have to do something. I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. Let's go to Don from West Philly on line 2. Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning, brother.
You know, like I called you before and said I had the opportunity to live and work around white folks for 50 years. And a lot of the stuff they being taught from the crib, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I worked with a guy recently in Montgomery County. He started talking about his friends in South Africa and all their rights and their history. And I said, well, what about the Native people? I said, how many years they've been there? He paused. He didn't want to comment. He jumped to another subject.
Mm-hmm.
So they being taught that their rights are more valuable than any other people of color.
Yeah.
It's like one guy said it when I was going to Temple University. When a black man holler out, "Give me liberty, give me death," we consider a terrorist.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the consciousness of white folks that we don't have the right. And it all comes down to the messaging, man. You know, when I learned in school, if you got to repeat the message, and you listen to the rap music for the last 30 years, all they're talking about is what they're going to do to another black person that don't give them respect.
Mm-hmm.
It goes over and over and repeat over. And scientists know, and take a message and put a beat to it. Just like before the old time, before they go to war, that's why they have the war dance. It's the messaging that programs the brain, and you react to it. Because once a message becomes your value system dictates your behavior. It's like automatic, and people know that, man. And just like Jay-Z, Meek Mill, is all done with to say, look, I did it this way. Don't y'all do it this way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you don't hear that message from them. All the message they saying is, all we're going to do, we're going to lessen your time. You don't hear that strong message from all these rappers saying, look, I did it this way. This was wrong. You guys can do it better. They're not preaching that message to them. And you listen to the music, all the rap music, it's going over and over again about getting respect from somebody who never know what respect is and what you're going to do to another black man. It's over and over. And my last comment. They twerked from the crib. They took an African religion, changed all the faces on it, gave it white color so they could sell it to the Europeans. And I'm a Christian, and I know God lives. And like they could never sell Christianity to the Europeans if they put the original dark skin on it. And you have white kids at 5, 4 going to church. You know what must feel like to see God in your image, see God in your color. To raised like that. And like I'm a Christian, and I know God lives. We're doing this stuff. We got to take all these white faces off of Christ. You got to take all these white faces off of Paul and Simon and everything, and put the right color up here.
I hear you, man. I hear you. I hear you, Don. And I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. I can't disagree. Let's go back to the phone lines and talk to Shirley from Germantown on line 3. Go ahead, Shirley.
Good morning, and this is not just a great discussion, but one that we need to form some type of community organization because, Solomon, I'll tell you something. I just wonder, can you tell me where is the NAACP here in Philadelphia? I remember I grew up in Philadelphia, and just to tell you my age, I grew up listening and going to the Uptown.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
There used to be more around Girard College. And
sure.
I didn't say we, but he actually put the legislation through and did the petition and all of the state material in order to integrate that. Can't we hear from the president of the NAACP? Can't we? I mean, I just feel as though we don't have a B'nai B'rith, or we don't have a anti-defamation, you know, and I know we do. I know we are people who have organized. We've organized ever since we've been here in this country, either secretly or revolutionarily. And a church showed us the Emmanuel film, and I just wish that WURD can try to find out how the AME Church, Mother Bethel, was able to show that film called Emmanuel, AME in South Carolina, where 9 people were killed, and this young guy was offered forgiveness, and he didn't even ask for it. He wasn't even. I mean, I'm a Christian. You know, I know about forgiveness. I mean, when Peter asked Jesus, how many times did I forgive my cousin? 7 times? He said, no, 70 times 7, which doesn't mean 490. It means that you keep forgiving someone from your heart, you know. But this young man, he didn't even act like he was even concerned about forgiveness.
Yeah, he wasn't sorry. He didn't repent. He wasn't remorseful. He did what he wanted to do, and he was glad that he did it. And you know, I've talked to some of the people who lost relatives at Mother Emanuel to the murderous spirit of Dylan Roof, and you know, they told me, look, you know, I'm not there. I'm not at forgiveness. And I understand that, right? So what happens is, I think that you have some people whose knee-jerk reaction is to say, I forgive you, because they believe that that's the right thing to do. And you know what? It is. But it's not instant. It's not instant. You know, in order for it to be real. And again, I think that we're all different, but you know, forgiveness is a process, and forgiveness is hard. It's hard to forgive somebody when they do something to you.
Right.
You know, that's why you need God. That's why you need God to help you do it, because it's so hard to do on your own.
I mean, can't we get some council people to speak to this issue?
Well,
can't we got black council people in there.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when David P. Richardson, regardless of what people want to say about him, he was a target for, listen, I'm not going to do that here because you got Dave Richardson and he'll come down on us and we won't be able to deal with this. And he helped a lot of other people too. But where's the NAACP?
Well, I want to thank you for your call. I talk to Rodney Muhammad, you know, on a regular. So I'll send him a text message. We'll talk. We got some other things that we are dealing with and talking about right now, you know, with a coalition of groups. But certainly this issue of violence with our kids, and, you know, I'll say this and then we'll go to break. The issue of violence with our kids is a serious one. But when I look at what our people have been through in this country, again, I went to see a pre-screening of the movie Harriet last night. I suggest that we all go to see that we go to see in groups. We get on buses, right, at our churches and in our mosques and our other places of worship, and that we go and see that movie together, because that is a movie about empowered black people who decided, no, I am going to empower myself, to emancipate myself, and then to go back and to emancipate others from this system that dehumanizes us and literally, quite literally, looks at us as animals and treats us like that from the cradle to the grave, right? And so when I look at that, when I look at what black people have been through, it's a wonder that more of us are not out of our minds. It is a wonder that more of us are not stark raving mad because of what we have been through and continue to go through in this country. And so we have to start from a baseline that recognizes that trauma, that recognizes that we are experiencing as a people post-traumatic stress disorder. and that we have experienced trauma after trauma after trauma, and what we see now is really the result of that. And so we have to recognize that, and then realize that what we are seeing is not just because we crazy. It's not just because we're immoral. It's not just because we are less than. No, it's because we have experienced and continue to experience trauma, and we have to first recognize that and then begin to address the results of it. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to talk with Lynn Washington about some stuff that's going on nationally. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Reality Check. Reality Check. Hosted by Charles Ellison. Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. Right here on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WordRadio.com.
Now's the time to get your home ready for any season with a Pico Energy Assessment. For just $25, a Pico Energy Advisor will come to your home and recommend ways to make your home more efficient and more comfortable year-round. Schedule your assessment today at pico.com/assessment or call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE. That's pico.com/assessment or call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE. Plus, you may be eligible for an assessment for free.
The Kimmel Center presents Chick Corea Trilogy with Christian McBride and Brian Blade. The two-time Grammy Award-winning trio of jazz pianist Chick Corea, Philadelphia native Christian McBride on double bass, and drummer Brian Blade formed in 2014 with the landmark triple disc debut, Trilogy. They share the stage for a night of jazz, delivering takes on the Great American Songbook, Korea Originals, and more. Sunday, October 27th at the Kimmel Center. Tickets at kimmelcenter.org.
The Moorish Unification Council invites you to support the Memorial Scholarship Fundraiser for Deborah Ansel Wilson Bay on Saturday, October 19th at the Philadelphia Masjid at 4700 Wyalusing Avenue, featuring the Alfie Pollitt Trio. Call 215-476-0280 for more information.
Positive encouragement will be yours at the 10th Annual Mothers and Daughters Conference on Saturday, October 19th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Temple University's Student Faculty Center at 3340 North Broad Street. This free conference will positively educate, empower, and encourage mothers, daughters, and all women to support each other through life's awkward journeys. Continental breakfast and lunch will be served. Register at cegmdd19.eventbrite.com or call Gwen at 267-736-8801.
Oak Street Health and Caregivers America invite you to attend CEFN's inaugural Senior Harvest Ball on Friday, October 25th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Hilton Hotel, 4200 City Ave. For ticket information, contact Sherry Hill at 215-858-4957.
Word Show on the Go. Tell us where you'd like to see the rapping professor, Dr. Aaron Smith, bring the Word Show on the Go team next. Visit wordradio.com. Click the Word Show on the Go banner and let us know about your community event, big news in your community, or an issue you'd like to see addressed. You can also catch up on the latest episode of Word Show on the Go or binge watch previous episodes. It's Word Show on the Go with the rapping professor, Dr. Aaron Smith, exclusively on wordradio.com. Word Show on the Go is funded in part by the Facebook Journalism Project Community Network. Lifting every voice till earth and heaven ring. This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media. Back by popular demand. It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
What we saw was misconduct by police. As Malcolm X said, American democracy is nothing but disguised hypocrisy. If you did see the video and you did nothing, you need to go.
And now, Lynn Washington, only on Wake Up with Word.
Good Morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. And we want to welcome back to the show Lynn Washington. He is, of course, a professor of journalism at Temple University, where he's a co-founder of the award-winning Multimedia Urban Reporting Lab. In addition to his Temple degrees, Washington holds a law degree from Yale University. Lynn, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, Solomon. Everything's fine. Hope things are well with you.
Yeah, things are good. Things are good. I want to talk about the Donald Trump impeachment inquiry. But before we get to that, I want to play a little bit from the Democratic debate last night. This is what some of the candidates had to say. The first voice you will hear will be that of Elizabeth Warren, and then Bernie Sanders, and then Kamala Harris. Let's take a listen.
Sometimes there are issues that are bigger than politics, and I think that's the case with this impeachment inquiry.
In my judgment, Trump is the most corrupt president in the history of this country.
He has committed crimes in plain sight, and he has consistently, since he won, been selling out the American people. He's been selling out working people. He's been selling out our values. He's been selling out national security. And on this issue with Ukraine, he has been selling out our democracy.
And so that is what several of the candidates had to say last night on this impeachment question, Lynn. And now you have the president basically telling his people not to respond to congressional subpoenas, right? So Rudy Giuliani, others refusing to cooperate. My question to you is this, Lynn. Why are they not being held in contempt of Congress?
The short answer, Solomon, is I don't know. I, like you, think that there should be some enforcement of these subpoenas if Congress is going to exert its authority. Let's understand this is a legal process, based on constitutional procedures, but it's also a political process. So the Democratic Party, Nancy Pelosi, they're trying to manage the politics of this. So they'll let it play out, and I think you're going to see some efforts to enforce these subpoenas. It could be a good way to start is locking up Giuliani. I mean, with politics being so much about optics, what would that be? Come in and arrest him, and of course, he's not going to go to Allenwood,
right,
up in upstate Pennsylvania. But it would show some action, and until Congress starts enforcing these subpoenas, the Trump administration is going to try to keep playing it out and keep trying to punk them off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I think has to happen. Lynn, it's kind of hard to hear you. We're going to try to straighten that out for a minute. But I think that, when you are talking about the Congress of the United States sending you a subpoena, right, and saying to you, you are ordered, right, to show up. You are ordered to testify. You are ordered to answer our questions. That's just like a subpoena from the court. Just like you can be held in contempt of court, and a judge can then say to you, you are going to go to jail, because you didn't do what the court told you to do. Congress can do the same thing, and I do not understand why they are not doing anything in this case. I've never, Lynn, seen anything like this in my life.
Well, that's one of the problems. This occasion has never happened in the history of the United States, where you have a president who is lawless, who has contempt for the rule of law, and has essentially gotten away over the last, 2.5, nearly 3 years, with a series of criminal behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
Let's remember that the Mueller report found that Trump had engaged in at least 10 acts of obstruction of justice.
Yeah.
Why he wasn't called to account for that is this supposed opinion written by someone in the Justice Department years ago, not manufactured by the Trump administration, saying that you can't take action against a sitting president. So this guy has been lawless, and as the senator from California, Kamala Harris, said, he's been doing it right in front of our faces.
Yeah.
Let's look at this Ukraine situation. when the thing first blew up, and there was questions about the legal and ethical propriety of his conversation with the Ukraine president to try to dig up some dirt on his political rival, within hours, well, a day or so, but it's hours, he said, I want China to do this. And this is the same president who was on the campaign trail saying, Russia, find some dirt on Hillary Clinton. And lo and behold, Russia released some dirt on Hillary Clinton. So it's just outrageous what's going on. But parallel to this, what is also outrageous is the same people who yell and scream and make a mantra out of law and order are allowing this manifest lawlessness to just go writ large. I mean, the Republicans, mandatory minimum. You steal a French fry from McDonald's, and if you stole 2 other French fries from McDonald's 3 days before, you're 3 strikes and you're out. You're in prison for life. Not thinking about maybe the person's hungry, maybe if the person had a job, they wouldn't be stealing French fries. But they're allowing this president to engage in just bizarre lawlessness and are saying nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy, man. And I feel like this is setting the stage, because suppose we get somebody else who feels like they can do whatever they want to do because they are the president. There are laws in this country, and it is amazing to me to watch Congress just get punked. I mean, that's because that's what's happening right now. They are saying, we sending you subpoenas, and they like, nah, we not coming. I've never in my life seen anything like this, Lynn. I'm flabbergasted.
Yeah. But, also by the refusal to follow the rules and the laws that Congress has laid out, i.e. by not responding affirmatively to these subpoenas and not even taking them to court saying, well, we're challenging them. We're just, defiantly saying no, waving the middle finger to Congress.
Yeah.
That is also building the case for obstruction of justice.
Yeah.
So you say, here we have the wrongdoing with this quote-unquote, according to Trump, perfect call with the Ukrainian president, yet you're still blocking Congress's efforts, legitimate and lawful efforts, to get access to information about this. You have lengthened the case for obstruction of justice on this issue. So there'll probably be a couple articles of impeachment, the call itself and the ramifications behind that, but also this campaign to undermine Congress. So it's kind of tricky. Do you want to crack down? Yeah, you want to crack down, but at the same time, letting this play out, you're building the case for a impeachment article on obstruction of justice.
Yeah. And so let's move on to something local, and let's stay with the law and talk about Michael White. He's a 22-year-old young black man who was accused of stabbing to death Sean Skellinger, who was a white man, and he was 37. He died in this confrontation. Michael White says, look, it was self-defense. This guy, I thought he was going to kill me. I thought he was going to injure me. He uttered some racial remarks. And Michael White now on trial. My question to you is this. When is self-defense a viable defense in court?
Well, under Pennsylvania law, like written law, not court-made law, which is called, case law, you have a defense, what they call justification. And according to the law, as written, the statute, it says that force is, quote, justifiable when the actor believes that such force is immediately necessary for the purpose of protecting himself against the use of unlawful force by such other person on the present occasion. So from the testimony, at least from what my understanding of the testimony and the evidence that it's come out, there was this traffic stop. Schellinger was arguing with somebody else. Michael White comes into this. Somehow they get into an argument, and then Schellinger attacks him. So the question in terms of law and everything is Michael White's actions reasonable based on, his fear? And so a lot of this is going to turn on whether it was reasonable or not. And the prosecution still has the burden of proof. Michael White's defense doesn't have to prove it was unreasonable. He just said, I feared for my life. I have this right to self-defense. I feared that there was going to, be subjected to grievous bodily injury, and I did it. One of the prosecution has been arguing, okay, you have a right to self-defense. You could pummel this guy who was much larger than him and, seemingly more aggressive at that point. So this is going to be long, but let's also understand it's going to be emotion. Juries are supposed to be, they're charged to follow the law. Nowadays they could do whatever they want to do. And when you get into that jury room, what are the emotions that are going to come out? Or is the juror going to say, well, here's the law and here's the prosecution says he shouldn't have had a knife to a fist fight? But other people might say, hey, listen, the guy legitimately felt fear for his life. Let's understand the context. This is Philadelphia. Most people are armed, whether legitimately or not. I didn't know what was happening, so the man may be justified. So,
yeah. Len, you sound a little bit muffled again. So we're gonna try to straighten that out. But in terms of him, Michael White, this young brother saying that, I was just trying to defend myself. I think the other element in this case, and we've kind of talked about it, alluded to it on this morning show, the other element in this case is race. The fact that Michael White, a young black man, claiming self-defense in a case that ended up costing the life of a white man. This is something that has been an undercurrent in this case. This is something that we've seen in the coverage of this case. This is something that has come out in the way this case has been written about, talked about on other media platforms. And so I wonder how you see the element of race playing out in his self-defense argument.
Race permeates every aspect of the criminal justice system, and it has been an element in it, in a very adverse element since the inception of the criminal justice system in the United States, and how it plays out societally. So here we have a young black man who has incident led to the death of a white man. So that's going to play into it. We talk about these affirmative defenses and justification and everything. There has been an attitude in America that while the law says X, Y, and Z, you, Mr. N-word, are not entitled to that because you are not really a full citizen. And, whatever else is going to lay over it. So, race is going to play a part in it. Don't know how that's going to play out. It all comes down to what the jury believes and who they believe and how they're going to apply the law.
Yeah.
So just, wait and see. And let's also understand, there's the crime of now manslaughter, is reduced from murder down to manslaughter. But they also have some other charges against him, tampering with evidence and some other stuff. So he could conceivably be acquitted of the manslaughter charge, the most serious charge, and still be convicted of some of the lesser charges and still end up in jail.
Yeah.
It's a really unfortunate situation.
Yeah.
Here's a young man trying to work, trying to do something. He's not hanging out on the corner drinking a 40, and now he's really fighting for his life. But when you were talking about this earlier in the day, I thought about a matter, over a century ago involving the first black to play for Major League Baseball. It wasn't Jackie Robinson. It was a guy named Moses Fleetwood Walker. And after the racists that ran him out of baseball, he's up in Rochester, New York, and some whites come up to him, call him a bunch of names, start fighting with him, and he used self-defense, stabbed one of them to death. They put him on trial, drug him to a trial. He was acquitted, but, this notion that, we have a right to defend ourselves is not universally recognized, particularly in the criminal justice system.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that is Len Washington. Len Washington, of course, a professor of journalism at Temple University. He is a co-founder of the Multimedia Urban Reporting Lab. In addition to his Temple degrees, Washington holds a law degree from Yale University. Len, thanks so much.
Thanks, Solomon. Take care.
All right. Talk to you soon. So we want to hear from you. You can certainly give us a call at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio and let us know where you are on any of these things we are talking about on this morning's show. We, of course, have the onWURD Summit coming up, and we're going to be talking with one of the panelists from that in a minute. Zuline Mayfield is going to be joining us, should be joining us on the other side of the break. But we are talking about a number of things this morning, including the Michael White trial. He is claiming self-defense in a voluntary manslaughter trial, and he's black. The person who lost their life was white, and the question is, will that self-defense strategy work for a black man when a white person has lost their life? I am curious about that, and I want to know what you think. Also, as we see young people, teenagers, really babies, 15 years old, shooting each other. One of my son's classmates died over the weekend due to gun violence. As we see this continue to happen, what are we willing to do to change it? I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. We're going to go to break, and on the other side, we'll continue the show. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
At Dietz & Watson, we've spent over 75 years focusing on the details. This can be traced back to our founder, Gottlieb Dietz, who learned how to make franks and sausages the right way in Germany. Today, each one of our delicious offerings is meticulously crafted using perfected details. Because if it isn't good enough for our family, it isn't good enough for yours. To us, the details make all the difference.
Word family, you are not alone.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and Word Radio wants you to know that those who suffer from this disease,
their families,
and friends
are not alone.
Word Radio encourages everyone to fight.
That's why we're launching Fight Forward, an awareness campaign aimed at bringing attention to early detection,
support groups, prevention, and treatment of breast cancer.
This month, we're shining a light on those in the fight.
Plus, all month long, when you start or renew your 4Word membership, you'll get a very special pink Fight Forward t-shirt.
Keep the conversation going with the hashtag #FightForward.
And share inspirational messages, stories, and words of encouragement.
Make a difference.
Together.
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 Together, let's fight forward.
For more information or to start or renew your 4Word membership, call 215-425-7875. Listen live at wordradio.com.
Word family, this is Sarah Lomax Reese, President and CEO of Word Radio. Join me on Friday, November 1st from 5:30 to 7 p.m. for the next installment of the Walter P. Lomax Jr. MD Speaker Series, Struggle and Progress, a conversation on Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman. I'm excited to interview two of the leading scholars on Douglass and Tubman, Dr. C. James Trotman, founding director of the Frederick Douglass Institute, and Dr. Erica Armstrong Dunbar, author of She Came to Slay, The Life and Times of Harriet Tubman. This powerful discussion will be held at the Barnes Foundation as part of their First Friday festivities and will precede the premiere of Ruth Naomi Floyd's Frederick Douglass Jazz Works, a suite of music created to honor the legacy of the famed activist and abolitionist. You do not want to miss this amazing event, which happens to fall on the same day as the release of the new Harriet Tubman movie. Space is limited. For ticket information, go to wordradio.com or call 215-425-7875.
In partnership with the Barnes Foundation, sponsored by Pico and Comcast NBC 10. Now, a traffic update
on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Mattress Warehouse Philadelphia. Traffic at a jam this morning around the area, looking at 295 northbound. First, you're busy from Westville into 42. Further north, jammed again from 541 Mount Holly up to 130. Accident there has been cleared. Southbound 561 to 42. Busy 42 northbound. You're jammed up still from Coles Road to 295. 55 north is 47 to 42. Ben Franklin Bridge jammed the length into Philadelphia. Southbound 95, that is a jam right still this morning from Coppin Avenue down through Girard. Northbound busy. Island Avenue through Broad. Again, north of the Walt Whitman through the Vine Expressway. Schuylkill Expressway both ways, east and westbound. Still a busy ride. Westbound Vine 95 out through the Schuylkill. Heavy eastbound backed up off the Schuylkill Expressway through Broad Street this morning.
Not every mattress is right for every body. Don't get frustrated. Get bed matched and find the right mattress. Only at Mattress Warehouse. Buying at Mattress Warehouse means you have a 1-year price guarantee. Find a better price? They'll match it, plus 50% of the difference. Visit sleephappens.com.
For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD. And I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. And we're going to take your calls at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. We're talking about a number of things this morning, including our top 3 stories, which are story number 1, Attorney William McSwain, U.S. Attorney William McSwain, is saying that if they try to open up a safe injection site in Philadelphia, he's going to use all his enforcement tools at his disposal to shut it down. Of course, a judge ruled that the Controlled Substances Act does not apply to a supervised injection site, even though that act says that you cannot open any facility for the use of any controlled substance in the United States. The way that it's being covered and the way that it's being written about, quite frankly, with a whole lot of bias by those who favor this, is that this law is 33 years old and it's the crack house statute. It only applies to crack houses, which implies to me, and it's very offensive to me and racist. Because if you say that it only applies to crack houses, then you are implying that it only applies to black people, right? And it's not that black people were the only ones smoking crack. It's just that we were the only ones who were punished for it. Right? We were the only ones who went to jail for it, who lost our property for it, who had stuff confiscated for it, right? We were the ones whose communities were destroyed for it. It wasn't like we were the only ones doing it, but when you talk about a crack house and a crack house statute, the implication is that you're talking about black people. So to me, that's very offensive. But the other way that it's being written about, talked about by those who favor this, is that this law is 33 years old, right? As if a 33-year-old law, it's just too old to be enforced. It just doesn't apply anymore. Here's my question to that. How old is the Constitution? Because that should shut it down right there. If you're talking about a 33-year-old law is too old, how old is the Constitution? I think it's like 200-something years old, right? Still applies, doesn't it? Okay. Stop talking about the law is 33 years old. We got laws on the books. The main law in this country is over 200 years old, and it still applies. Get out of here. 215-634-8065. Just had to get that off my chest. The other thing that we're talking about is the debate last night. I don't know if you saw it. I don't know if you heard it. We'll play a clip from it. Let's play that now, because you had Joe Biden answering a question about his son's involvement in the Ukraine. Let's take a listen to that.
Vice President Biden?
Look, my son did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. Rudy Giuliani, the president, and his thugs have already proven that they, in fact, are flat lying.
Your son, Hunter, today gave an interview, admitted that he made a mistake and showed poor judgment by serving on that board in Ukraine. Did you make a mistake by letting him? You were the point person on Ukraine at the time, if you can answer.
Look, my son's statement speaks for itself. My son made a judgment. I'm proud of the judgment he made. I'm proud of what he had to say. And let's focus on this. The fact of the matter is that this is about Trump's corruption.
All right. So that was Joe Biden's answer. Anderson Cooper asking that question on last night's debate. So we want to talk about that as well, because Elizabeth Warren was the person who seemed to be looked at as the front runner. And she was duly attacked by her competitors last night in that debate. So we want to talk about that. And, of course, the Michael White trial. Michael White, a young black man accused of fatally stabbing real estate developer Sean Scullinger near Rittenhouse Square, said he did that in self-defense in his voluntary manslaughter trial. That is his defense. Can a black man use it when a white person has lost their life? I want to know what you think about that. And finally, I opened the show with a sad news about a young man who went to school with my son, who was murdered, who lost his life to gun violence over the course of this weekend, 15 years old. And my question is, what are we willing to do to stop this? What are we willing to do to save the lives of our children? And I'm not just talking about the ones who are yours biologically, the ones that you are adopted, the ones that you foster. I'm talking about all the kids in our community. What are we willing to do? I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. Let's go to the phone lines and talk to Jerry from West Philly on line 1. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. You sound a lot better, too.
Thank you.
Okay, first of all, I want to give my condolences to your son's friend's family.
Yeah.
And to y'all as well.
Thank you.
I'm going to say, when I was younger, I lost somebody from health reasons. She wasn't able to get a kidney transplant. So back in the day, there was something like that, but not to gun violence. And I see that the younger generation is having to deal with that. So I don't have any answers. All I do in my community is I try to talk to some of the older, the younger generation, but I haven't been able to really get with the children because they're doing their own thing. So I've been praying about that because it does bother me about that.
Yeah.
Okay, and so far as Biden, once again, 45 is doing the same thing he did with Hillary Clinton. People have to realize we need to stop being, what he's trying to do is he's a master of, deception. He tried to get people to focus on one thing instead of focusing on what we need to be focused on.
Right.
And that's all the lies and stuff he has told. Somebody just told me here recently that he did the thing with Turkey and them because he owned property in Turkey.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know, but I'm putting that out there so somebody could go and check it out. I don't know, but he does. He's good at that. So far, and the white. That's why I really wanted to call until you just put everything else up there.
Yeah.
My question is, because my sister and I was just talking about that, why did his friend get out the car and run? It was a videotape because I've been watching it off and on. It was a surveillance tape that they picked up from somewhere. His friend got out the car and ran. So what was all of that? Why didn't his friend say, look, man, just calm down. Let's discuss it and don't do that. I feel sorry for the young man because he was only doing came to Philly to do this so he could go back to college, earn a little bit of money, and now he's caught up into this. I feel that he was protecting himself. My sister said that he said that the man picked him off the ground. Well, I would be scared too.
Yeah.
And do what I had to do. This one man was nothing but a bully.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I'm like the other caller. I've seen them when they get drunk, and they're not very nice people. And I found myself actually had to move out their way so that I wouldn't be called out of my name. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you, and I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. We got to move on. Let's go to Brenda from North Philly on line 2. Go ahead, Brenda.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good.
Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
My first take is on the Michael White. I think he was defending himself from this giant. And I've been reading up on it. The young man that lost his life, he was in trouble with the law way before this happened.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at the Michael White as defending himself.
Yeah.
This big giant throwing him down, and he was carrying that knife because he was delivering food, so that was his protection for his job as well.
Yeah.
But when he ran into this, I guess to try to get the guy off of him, he had to use that. But it's unfortunately two families are disrupted by this that happened. And also with Donald Trump, he is a mastermind of deception, and he just does his thing, and some people fall into it. I'm not one of them, because he's been doing it too often. So you kind of know the trail that he's going to take to defend himself.
Yeah.
But and as far as the young people in my neighborhood, I try and talk to. I don't have any children, but I talk to a lot of the young people about the violence, about voting, about going to school. I kind of try to direct them to go to OIC, because I went there when I was 14. That was my first job. So I try to direct them, but a lot of them do not listen. So what I do after that, I pray. I go into prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we have to do. Prayer is the only thing that we can do to help this generation.
See, I don't think that. I think we have to pray and then we have to act. I think we have to interact with them. I think we have to talk to them. I think we have to be involved in their lives. Certainly, I pray for them too. I definitely do, but I think that beyond the prayer, we have to also act. I think we gotta interact with them.
Yeah, and I do interact with them, but too many of them, oh, well, there's nothing out there for us to do, and and the information that I have, I share with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they don't really want to be involved with them, then I go into a deeper prayer for them. But I do interact with them. Some of them come on board, but too many of them don't. And my heart goes out to them because they're our future. So
all right,
I'm trying to do as much as I can do, and I thank you so much for taking my call.
Thank you. We appreciate your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go to Rebecca from Springfield on line 3. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I was out there on Friday, and you did a great job. Praise God.
Thank you.
But I'm calling about all of it. The safe injection site is ridiculous. That doesn't even make sense. I'm a nurse. That doesn't even make sense. That's number one.
I hear
Warren, she's 31% and all, but guess what? They're not going to vote for no woman, so she can forget that. Michael White, that is just ridiculous. But you know what? Our people need to do better. I was talking to someone about that, and it upset me because, somebody had the nerve to say, well, I heard that he stabbed him in the back. Get out of here. What does that have to do with anything? If somebody is attacking you, you want to get away and you want to do what you can. How about the fact that he had marijuana in his system and all that? And he was a bully. That's not important. I wouldn't care where he got stabbed. The thing is, he was wrong.
Yeah.
And as far as the young people, I try to encourage them. I try to talk to them, and I try to pray with them and for them.
Yeah.
But, we as older people, we have to show that we care about them, that we love them, and we want the best for them. And I just want to thank you so much for all that you have done at this point, and we're praying for you.
Thank you.
God bless and have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I appreciate everybody, man. Everybody that showed up, and I know that some of us felt like, there should have been more people, but sometimes, man, it's if you show up, that is the great part of it. Sometimes if you do your part, man, we appreciate you so much. And again, there are some discussions that we have to have going forward. All of them are not going to take place on the radio, right? But we are going to keep on moving, man. Like I said at the top of the show, last night I went to see a pre-screening of the movie Harriet, and in seeing what that sister did, man, and seeing the self-determination in the face of death, just lets me know that we are on the right track. That we need to continue to stand up, that we stand on the shoulders of giants, man. People who were willing to risk everything, not only for their own freedom, but for the freedom of their people. And so that's why I say, man, at this point, when we look at what's happening with our kids, A lot of that is post-traumatic stress disorder, right? You dealing with trauma after trauma after trauma as a people. And there is a cost to that. And so it's not that we're just immoral. It's not that we're just violent. It's not that we're just criminal. No, it's not any of those things. It is the trauma that we have experienced as a people. Go see that movie, man. When that movie comes out, y'all need to go see it. Just to understand some of the trauma we've experienced as a people. And this movie didn't focus just on the trauma. It focused on the response. It focused on the proactive nature of faith, right? That, yeah, you can pray, but then after you get up off your knees, you need to be doing something, right? And so I just need y'all to see it and understand what we have been through, what our people did in order to get us to this point, and how we have to continue the fight. Let's go to Tracy from Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Tracy.
Good morning. How you doing, son?
Good, and you?
It's always a privilege.
Thank you.
But, my name is really Minister Tracy, and I'm a Philadelphia black clergy. And I have a program that helps young people. It's called Young Millionaires Boot Camp. They come on the weekends. They leave on Friday. They come Friday and they leave on Sunday. And we don't do the physical stuff. We do the mental stuff, the psychodrama and stuff like that. Because it's not, kids are going through a lot of stuff at home. You know what I'm saying? It don't
right.
just, it's, mom meet a new boyfriend. The boyfriend just got out of jail. And the kids is making noise. They want to abuse them, intimidate them in their own house. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot. It's just not that they wake up and say, hey, I'm going to torture the city. I'm going to torture everybody in the world. But this article that I read yesterday has really got me devastated, and I know that we need to do more. 100 black men, they need to get involved. Rodney Muhammad, I need to get with him because, maybe we need to have a nation boot camp. You know what I'm saying? To get brothers, like Elijah Muhammad got him. He came up with something that changed the mindset of brothers and stuff, and the sisters and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it says that lurking behind the innocent faces of our American teens, they said that they are public enemy number one.
Yeah.
It says by 2010, 2010, that there will be 5 million teens incarcerated.
Yeah, I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD, and thank you for the work you're doing in the community. We got to go to break because on the other side, we are going to be talking with Zuline Mayfield. She is one of the people who is joining us at the onWURD event on October 20th from 2 to 5 at Bartram's Garden. If you want to RSVP for that event, go to wordradio.com or call 215-425-7875. On the other side, it's Zuline Mayfield. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Now, a traffic update on Word Radio.
Good morning. Still some busy spots as you move here in Philadelphia. Looking at southbound 95, Cottman Avenue down through Girard. Still a busy ride there this morning. Northbound 95, no major problems. Westbound Viaduct Expressway, that remains busy from 95 out through the Schuylkill Expressway. Schuylkill itself, both ways, still pretty heavy east and westbound. All lanes are open, but a jam ride both ways. Southbound Blue Ridge 476 Mid-County down through the Schuylkill. That slows and jam Norristown for Media Swarthmore. Northbound is 95 to Route 1. Pennsylvania Turnpike westbound Willow Grove to Fort Washington heavy. Delays continue 295 northbound from Westville into 42. Then you're jammed further north from 541 Mount Holly up to 130. Accident there cleared. Southbound busy 561 into 42. 42 northbound still jammed 168 through 295. 55 north is Deptford into 42. Ben Franklin Bridge, you're jammed midspan in the center city. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. I'm Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
If you want to start your morning with mindfulness, motivation, and inspiration, tune in to Daybreak with me, Helana, here on WURD Radio, Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 a.m. I'm a health and wellness coach with over 15 years experience helping people to transform their lives. On the show, we talk health and wellness 360, from getting your mind right to getting your money right. So let's rise and shine together right here on WURDradio.com, 96.1 FM, 900 on your AM dial on Daybreak every morning.
Join Word Radio for the EcoWord Environmental Justice Summit, Sunday, October 20th from 2 p.m. till 5 p.m. at Bartram's Garden, 5400 Lindbergh Boulevard. This unique green event will feature lightning talks about the connections between race, income, and the environment, locally, nationally, regionally, and especially in Philadelphia. Featuring John Francis, author of Planet Walker and The Ragged Edge of Silence, Janine Kayembe, founder of Life Do Grow Farm, Zulene Mayfield, environmental activist, Joanne Douglas, program manager of the Watershed Interpretation and Youth River Program at Bartram's Garden, and a special talk and musical performance by Ill-Fated Natives. The summit will also feature Wasted, an EcoWord photo exhibit by Zamani Feeling, a livelihood green sector job resource exhibit, and a healing drum circle by Music Over Matter. You must RSVP. Register today at wordradio.com or call 215-425-7875. Supported by the Wincoat Foundation.
Honey, it's our favorite time of year, and I got you something to celebrate.
A McRib! It's just what I wanted.
Happy McRib season, sweetie.
I love you.
I love you too.
Actually, I was talking to my McRib.
Oh, okay, well, I'll leave you two alone.
McRib season is here, but not for long. Get one now for just $3.99. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Support independent black media and join the Forward movement now at 215-425-7875 or visit wordradio.com.
Wincoat Wellness is changing the way the world ages by redefining home care. Wincoat Wellness makes it possible to achieve independent living through companion care. If you or someone you know has a loved one who is in need of home care services, the enrollment process is seamless. Give them a call at 215-277-5914 to begin enrollment with their dedicated team or home care associates, and before you know it, you'll be receiving care. Call now, 215-277-5914.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
It's getting serious on this track, fam.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. Of course, we have the EcoWord Environmental Justice Summit coming up, and joining us now is one of the panelists for that. She is a Chester City environmental activist, Zulene Mayfield. Good morning.
Good morning, Solomon Jones. Good morning, Word listeners.
How are you?
I am great, fired up, ready to go.
That's good. That's good. Now, Chester is a unique place because you guys have a lot of facilities there that spew pollution into the community. And it, like many communities that have those kinds of facilities there, you have a large population of black and brown people, a large population of people who are living at or near poverty. What is the connection?
Well, the connection is nothing other than race.
Mm-hmm.
These type of facilities, waste polluting facilities, are primarily located in African American communities, even when the determining factor is income. For example, if you take a poor white community and you take a middle-class black community, it's highly likely that a waste facility will be sited in the middle-income black community.
Mm-hmm.
It has been studied as a known fact that environmental racism is real, and what we're fighting for is environmental justice.
Yeah. How long is this fight going on in Chester?
Currently we have the largest incinerator in the country located in Chester. Chester is roughly about 5 miles. The incinerator that we have there is operated by an organization called Covanta, who runs a whole lot of incinerators across the country, very poorly. Right now they burn every day 3,500 tons of trash every day.
and the trash comes from everywhere. New York, the city of Philadelphia, Ocean City, Maryland, as far away as Ohio and Puerto Rico.
And so how have you gone about fighting this? Because, you know, you're dealing with corporate interests, you're dealing with government that approves it, you're dealing with all kinds of obstacles in fighting this. How do you go about a battle like that against these environmental injustices?
Well, you know, listen, this is a fight for nothing other than our absolute survival. Absolute survival. It is no different from someone coming into your house, pointing a gun to your head, and tell you you either fight or you sit down on the ground and let me put a bullet in your head. So you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
This is a fight for the survival of our children. Our children. Some of the pollutants that come out of this incinerator and other facilities directly impact the learning capabilities of our children, the behavioral aspects of our children. So what choice do we have? And, you know, Chester is unique, but it's not alone.
Right.
You go up and down the city of Philadelphia. When you want to see where the highest levels of pollution are, they're in primarily black areas. And the correlation has to be made. Is there something really going on wrong with our children? Or are they being polluted to death and causing some of these effects? Are some of the behavioral problems that they're experiencing coming from the pollutants? We know that the incinerator spews out lead. They also put arsenic, cadmium, particulate matter into our air.
Yeah.
But all of the entities that are supposed to protect us are not. Apparently, we don't have the right complexion for protection.
So let me ask you this as we move forward, because again, you've been using some techniques to try to fight this. Obviously, we need to do more. What do you suggest that we change in terms of the strategy for fighting against environmental racism, environmental injustice going forward? What needs to change in our approach?
Listen, Solomon, if we had the magic bullet, we would have shot it off 100 times. This fight against this incinerator, our group has been around since 1992. 92. But guess what? If it takes us another 20 years to get it shut down, my life is there. There is no, this is a political fight. This is a marketing fight. This is holding people who have nothing but comfort when they go and put their trash on the curb, and they're done with it. They have more of an obligation to make sure that their trash in wealthier communities who generate more trash is not impacting the least people who can afford to be impacted by it.
Yeah.
There needs to be an accountability.
So what should we expect to hear from you at the onWURD Summit?
I hope to impart on other residents to look around. People need to understand that the environment is not red with trees and oceans. It's also concrete and asphalt. And these environments also need the same protection that is afforded a spotted owl in our community.
Yeah.
I will try to give people the tools, the things that we've learned. Because even though we have the incinerator, there are up to 7, 8 other facilities that we either shut down, had their permit revoked, or they just withdrew because they knew a fight was there. So it can be done.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
It can be done, and it will be done. And we have to continue to fight for our survival, for our children. The asthma rates in Philadelphia and Chester are astronomical. Nobody accounts for the missed the school days for children. Our seniors are being impacted. How do you live 60 years and then all of a sudden you need an inhaler? because you cannot breathe.
Yeah, that's something else. Well, Zuleen Mayfield, we look forward to hearing from you at the EcoWord event that, of course, is October 20th. It's going to be from 2 to 5 at Bartram's Garden right here in the city of Philadelphia. If you want to RSVP for that event, go to wordradio.com. That's WURDradio.com, or call 215-425-7875. That EcoWord Environmental Justice Summit is supported by the Wyncote Foundation and Broken Philly, a project of Resolve Philadelphia. Zuleen Mayfield, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning on WURD. All right.
All right.
We'll talk to you soon. Okay, so we're going to take your calls at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. We are also taking your comments on Facebook. You can go to Facebook at onWURD, FORWURD, and you can respond there as well. Raphael Suleiman, in response to Zuleen Mayfield, says, look, environmental racism is real. Chester is a case study in this phenomenon. I think the city will be uninhabitable in future years. So, yeah, it's real. It's real. And that's why we need to make sure that you get down to that event at Bartram's Garden in Southwest Philadelphia on October 20th from 2 to 5 for the EcoWord Environmental Justice Summit that's supported by the Wyncote Foundation and Broken Philly, a project of Resolve Philadelphia. You can RSVP at WURDradio.com. We're going to go to the callers and talk to Haraya from Ardmore on line 1. Go ahead, Haraya.
Hey, Solomon, good morning.
Good morning.
And big ups on that protest last Friday. I wasn't able to make it out, but I sure am glad that we have your energy to help in this fight. Solomon, I don't know if you've had the chance to watch this series that comes on called David Makes Man.
No, I haven't.
Okay, it focuses on this one young man, David, that's going to a magnet school, but he's coming out of the projects. But the reason why I bring that up is that it shows how easy it is for our children to get caught up in this madness out here, and before you can blink your eye, you're now part of a gang or part of a group that you never intended to be a part of. I just really, if people could watch that and see, this young man is doing straight A's, going to a magnet school, running away from the gang members that he lives around in the projects every day, and still winds up getting caught up, and a child dies. So when you ask the question, what can we do? You know, it's wow. That is the number one challenging question of getting to the minds of our young people. I know at the Black Expo in December that we're having at Temple at Mitten Hall, we're trying to bring Wallow 267 out to speak to the young people. We're having a Stop the Violence a community forum. But Solomon, I'm at loss to say, you know, I have no answers, and it's very frustrating. Every day you're looking in the papers and seeing one child after another being killed. But one thing I can say, I really resent the whole fact of the older gang members and drug dealers and whatever preying on the younger. That is like the biggest coward that.
Yeah, but you know what? That's not new. That's not new.
I know,
that's not like that's something that just happened. It's always been that way.
Wait a minute, I didn't say it was new.
Right.
I just said I resent it.
Uh huh.
I didn't say it was new.
Mm-hmm.
But that to me is the biggest form of a bully and coward that there can be.
Yeah. Well, that's why you have to have fathers. You have to have older brothers. You have to have neighbors. You have to have family friends. You have to have other male figures that they can look up to in their lives. Even if it's not necessarily their biological father, you got to have somebody else. Because if you don't have that, that creates a vacuum. And, of course, the drug dealers and the gangbangers and the criminals going to step in and say, yo, I love you. I'm going to show you love. You know what I mean? Tupac said it in his song. He said, look, even though they sold drugs, they showed a young brother love. You know what I mean? So it's like, one way or another, a young man is going to look to somebody as his role model, is going to look to somebody for that male father figure, is going to look to somebody for that. So, we can't get mad. And I understand, as a sister, you looking like, okay, well, where's the other men at? And that's what we got to do. We have to step in and at least show an interest in these young men, because if we don't, the drug dealers will. I'm going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue our conversation right here on WRD. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Brothers and sisters, don't miss The Source. Weekdays 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Word Radio, WordRadio.com, and the Word Radio app.
My name is Shirley Turner. I was born, raised Philadelphia, 68 years. I learned about Dedicated through my insurance carrier. This office of Dedicated was much closer to me. I liked the idea of being able to set the appointment and they would send someone to get me and bring me back, which was a big plus because where I was going, you get there on your own. The staff at Dedicated, they've been very kind to me. Tashiana, when I come in, even if I call her on the phone, "Hi, Miss Turner," she knows my name, knows my voice. It makes you feel better because in all the 30-something years I went to the other, that receptionist still don't know me. And little things like that matter.
Experience the Dedicated difference. Call for a free tour. 267-443-1900. Dedicated Senior Medical Centers. 267-443-1900.
Listen to Laborers Live. We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
Drive in with Solomon Jones. Drive home with Charles Ellison. This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Philadelphia, independent black media.
This hour is brought to you by Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church. Visit enontab.org. Enon, a place where people encounter God.
You're waking up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Good morning. Right now on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD. I want to welcome you back to the show. You can, of course, listen to us on wordradio.com. That's WURDradio.com. You can watch us right now. We're on Facebook Live at 4Word. That's FORWURD. And, of course, listen to us in crystal clear digital sound on your Word app on your phone. I encourage you to download that, and you can take us with you anywhere you go. So we're talking about a number of things on this morning show, including the fact that the U.S. Attorney William McSwain vowed to use all enforcement tools at his disposal to shut down any facility that opens before the Justice Department has exhausted its appeals in the safe injection site case. Story number 2, Senator Elizabeth Warren appears to be the front runner. She drew all of the fire from the other Democrats on the debate stage last night. I want to know if you watched that, and if so, what did you think? Do you think she can win if she turns out to be the nominee? And then, of course, story number 3, Michael White, accused of fatally stabbing real estate developer Sean Skellinger near Rittenhouse Square last year, testified Tuesday that in the moments before Skellinger tried to tackle him during a spontaneous encounter, he told White, "I'm going to beat the black off you." So I want to know what you think. 215-634-8065. Does a self-defense case, does a self-defense strategy work in a case where a black person has killed a white person? I want to know if this is something that you've thought about in this particular case. Just a really unfortunate case. This young man, by all accounts, a good person, somebody who was heading in the right direction, and unfortunately encounters this person who, you know, tried to hurt him. He defended himself. Sean Skellinger ends up losing his life, and now this young man is on trial for voluntary manslaughter. Lots of people from the black community showing up at that trial. That is a good thing. And certainly some leaders from our community showing up at that trial, and that is a good thing as well. So we are watching and hoping for the best for this young man. But I want to know what you think about it. So 215-634-8065 is the number. I'm going to go back to the phone lines, and we're going to talk to Malik from Mount Airy on line 1. Go ahead, Malik.
Good morning. When you talk about the injection site thing, you said it's a 33-year-old law, correct?
Yes.
So think about that. Let's rewind the clock back 33 years.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about who was in office, there was a former actor who is now a known racist that enacted a law that would stop people of color from seeking help that they need from what? Crack. So now it's heroin, and the funny thing is the shade has changed all the way to the other side of the pendulum.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what? Now we want to help them, and now it's so funny. 36 years ago, crack was killing our community.
Mm-hmm.
Now heroin is killing their community, and they want to help them. They want to. If you got caught with crack, if you were addicted to crack, if you were found on the street with crack or high off crack, all them people got locked up.
Mm-hmm.
Not for a week, not for a day. They was giving them 6 months, years.
Yeah.
Breaking down the black community. So now, instead of they're saying, "Oh, we need to help these people. They have a problem." Why weren't you helping the black people 36 years ago? I mean, let's be honest. They don't want to say it's a race issue, but when crack was killing our community, it was locking us up by the barrel.
Mm-hmm.
Now every person they find, don't take them to jail, take them to a hospital, get them whatever that shot is,
Narcan.
Stop the effects of Narcan.
Mm-hmm.
They telling police how to do this now.
Mm-hmm.
They wasn't telling cops, "Oh, you know what? Take them to the hospital so they can get whatever it is to stop the effects of crack." They was locking them up. Now, as far as the brother that's in court, I pray for his family. I pray for both families.
Yeah.
But I'm praying that if he was attacked, he gets off.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't attack me and expect you don't know what I'm capable of. You don't know what I'm carrying. You don't know listen, my life is just as important as yours.
Mm-hmm.
If you're telling me you're gonna beat the block off of me, I don't know if I'm gonna live through that.
Yeah.
So yeah, my life is threatened. So that is crazy. I'm hoping that if they say stand your ground, self-defense is real in this country, and that man, if he felt it though, as they say, a lot of other people, white people, get off with, "I felt threatened." Telling somebody I'm gonna beat a color off you, you're talking about doing serious damage to somebody. So
right.
I hope the brother gets off. I'm not saying I pray for the other person's family. I do. I don't want to see anybody die, but that should never happen. If you're gonna say self-defense, let that man defend himself.
Yep, I hear you, man, and I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go to Thomas from South Philly on line 2. Go ahead, Thomas.
Hey,
Solomon Jones. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good. Hey, I'm a first-time caller.
Oh, thank you so much, brother.
I want to thank you, man, for all you doing in the community, man.
You're welcome.
The legal stuff you're doing with the police and everything. Thank you. I'm dealing with some injuries. I can't be down there with you. Some health issues, but I'm there in spirit with you, brother. But I want to say something. One of the problems we got is that we got a brother, and I think he's a councilman named Kenyatta Johnson. The minute that stabbing happened with White and Schellinger, he came out and said that the police need to get the individual because they knew White was on the run. White was just some people that protected him. All I'm saying to you, he didn't have to come out with that. He didn't have to say that because if they had caught that brother, they would have shot him or beat him up or something. But all I'm saying to you, Kenyatta Johnson should have waited until something came up about exactly what happened. But he knew the individual. Schellinger is a friend of his. He came out and said it. He's a friend of mine, and I back him. And I know all it is that it might be a contribution of a donation to his seat, to his council seat. But all I'm saying to you, sometimes black politicians need to check themselves. That was wrong for him to do that because that brother could have got hurt or killed. So.
All right. Well, I'm trying to look it up and see what happened at that time because that was 2018 when this thing happened.
Right.
It was over a year ago. So I'm trying to look and see what Kenyatta Johnson did at the time. But if you say that he did that, certainly, I'm not going to dispute it. But I hear you, man. I hear you. I think a lot of times because information flows so quickly, we begin to speak on stuff sometimes before we know, everything that has happened. And that's all of us. I've done it. I'm sure you've done it. We've all done it. So, I think we'll see what happens with this case. That's what I'm interested in now. Not what happened back then, but I'm interested now in seeing if this self-defense strategy is going to work for him because certainly when it's us, other people claim self-defense and they don't do a day in jail.
Right. You're so right, brother. And like I said, I think he got a chance. But like you said, we still got to be cautious because I see what's happening. But like you said, thank you for doing all you do, brother.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you so much. And I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. As I look back on the coverage, they did say that Kenyatta Johnson spoke positively about Sean Schellinger, after this whole thing happened, and kind of spoke up in his defense. And it is what it is. Sometimes we speak quickly. And sometimes that's a mistake. So I'm going to go back to the phone lines, and we're going to talk with Cliff from Connecticut on line 3. Go ahead, Cliff.
Hey, Brother Solomon, thanks for taking my call. Brother,
You're
I was
welcome.
tuning in, so I apologize. But listen, in 1995, on this day, I experienced one of the most powerful, most spiritual events, man, that ever took place in my lifetime. Black brothers coming together in unity and love. This is the anniversary of the day of the Million Man March.
Yep, I was there. I was there with my brother and with his friend. His friend is now deceased, but the three of us were there, me, Brian, and Kyle. You know what I mean? We went to the Million Man March. It was a very positive experience, man, and I want to thank you for bringing that up this morning. Yes, sir. We'll talk to you soon. So let's talk to Brother O'Kang from Frankfurt on line 4. Go ahead, Brother O'Kang. Yes. Go ahead, Brother O'Kang. Brother O'Kang, yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yes. First of all, let me send out condolences to your son's friends,
Thank you.
family.
Thank you.
I know your son is messed up in the head.
He's all right. We praying with him and hugging him and letting him know he's loved.
Yeah, got to pray with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hope for the best for him. And his family. Yeah, it's kind of what's going on today, yo.
We're talking about a number of things, man. We're talking about the Michael White trial. Michael White is on trial for voluntary manslaughter. He's claiming self-defense. He's black. The person who died was white. Wondering if that self-defense strategy is going to work for him.
Yeah. I wonder if it's going to work for him. I don't know. Yeah. And what's going on with the Texas case? Anything coming out with that?
No, the officer who killed Tatiana Jefferson in her house is out on bond. He got a $200,000 bond, but he has been charged with murder, and so he is going to at this point have to stand trial for that at some point.
Yeah.
All right, Brother Kang, I want to thank you so much, man. We appreciate your call this morning on WURD Radio. We do have a couple minutes, so if you want to get in, it is 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. One of the things we are asking this morning in the wake of a young man who was my son's classmate, who was killed by gun violence over the course of this weekend, what are you willing to do to step in and to address the gun violence that's going on with kids? These are our children. These are not even people who are fully grown, right? This kid who lost his life, 15 years old. What are you willing to do? What kind of strategies are you willing to incorporate into what you do in the community in order to address the gun violence that's going on with our kids? Because here's one thing that I know. There are organizations that are getting millions of dollars, right, to write papers and come up with theories and do studies and all of this stuff, and it's not saving the lives of our children. It's not changing anything, right? The professionals are not changing anything when it comes to what is happening with gun violence in our community and with our children, right? And so it really is up to us. And when I look at what our people have been through, when I look at what we are still going through, when I look at the trauma that we have faced over and over and over again, when I look at the things that we have just walked through, man, and continue to survive, there's trauma that goes with that stuff. There's trauma that goes with slavery. There's trauma that goes with Jim Crow. There's trauma that goes with seeing videos of our people shot down day after day after day and seeing those videos over and over and over again. It desensitizes you to the reality of violence. Right? I still remember seeing the Laquan McDonald video over and over and over again, man. They just kept playing it over and over and over again. A police officer showing up, shooting this boy 16 times, so many times you could see the smoke coming out of his body. It desensitizes you. The trauma that we have gone through and continue to go through as a people, going to schools that have asbestos and lead paint and dust and vermin, like going to schools where you don't have the kind of equipment that they have just a mile away across City Line Avenue, right? Living in neighborhoods where you are living in crushing poverty and just a mile away there's a house for sale for $400,000, right? Living hand to mouth. Dealing with people who call the cops on you when you sleeping in a common area in your dorm, who call the cops on you when you doing a barbecue with charcoal instead of gas, who call the cops on your kid when they bump into him accidentally in a store talking about he sexually assaulted me at age 9, right? That's trauma. And we're dealing with all of this stuff. And so, you know, what the conclusion that I'm beginning to come to is that, no, this is not about us just being inherently criminal, inherently immoral, inherently bad people. No, this is trauma. And so how do we, first of all, acknowledge that and then address the results of that? Because I think these shootings, man, this is not just about, oh, black people just criminals, oh, black people just bad, oh, black people just... No, we have been taught, A, to hate ourselves. Through a society that says to you from day one that your life is not as valuable. I'm sorry, you don't have blonde hair and blue eyes, so sorry, your life is just not as valuable. If you go missing, I'm sorry, we're going to have to show Becky because she's missing too, and she's more important than you. I'm sorry, if something happens to you, then somehow it's got to be your fault, and we're going to search until we figure out how it's your fault because it can't be us. It can't be the society. It can't be racism. It can't be classism. It can't be any of these things. It's got to be you. You're the problem, right? That's what society teaches us over and over and over again. And so we are dealing with that reality. We are dealing with the trauma. And then you wonder why black folks are out here just doing all kinds of stuff. And I believe it's a result of the trauma. I do. Now, certainly, you know, you still got to be responsible for your own behavior. But I think we have to recognize that there's some stuff, man, that's going on in our community that goes back to the trauma of slavery, the trauma of Jim Crow, the trauma of the after effects of all of that, the trauma of ongoing racism, the trauma of dealing with microaggressions all day, every day, in your workplace, on the street, on TV, on the news, in a cab, everywhere you go, dealing with all of that. Constantly is one of the reasons we die early, because we got a level of stress that other people don't, because we got to look at everything like, are they doing this to me because I'm black? You know, are they following me in the store because I'm black? Is that lady clutching her pocketbook because I'm black? You know, are they looking over their shoulder because I'm black? Are they treating me this way because I'm black? When you're constantly questioning every single thing that happens to you over the course of the day, that's stressful. And so I say all that to say that it's not just that our kids are just bad, right? We're dealing with trauma. We're dealing with stress. We're dealing with an extra layer that other people just don't have to deal with or worry about. How do we fix it? 215-634-8065. William from Willingboro is on line 1. Go ahead, William.
Good morning, man of God. Peace to the man of God.
Good morning, brother. I'm good, man. How are you?
You got a banging show today, man. You got me fired up.
Thank you, man.
Oh my God. You're absolutely right. Why they keep switching the game up on us?
How about that?
Why they keep switching the game up on us? Like with this Michael White thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all the man was doing was defending himself.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's all he could do. But you got Goldilocks down there. She's knocking on the wrong door, talking about she's going to the wrong apartment. To shoot the man.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Got this other boy and the other cop who, you know, just shoot my black queen.
Yep.
You know, I mean, why they always switching up the game, Solomon? I don't understand it. I don't get it. As far as the kids is concerned and what I can do as a man of God, you know, I need to know my son's whole squad. I need to make sure that I'm there. I need to make sure that I'm getting into his head.
Yeah.
Not only just his head, but everybody that he associates with, because you could be guilty by association.
Yeah, good point.
You could be guilty by association.
Good point.
See what they did a couple of days ago when they had this thing on the TV when they was talking about our youth talking about the flash mob, because they went on they went out on the street at the skating rink and blah blah, and it was wilding out a little something. They always painting a negative picture on us. Always.
Yeah. I hear you, William. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go back to the phone. Let's talk to Abdul-Jabbar from what? Nope, let's do this. Before we put Abdul-Jabbar on, we got to go to break. We'll get you right on the other side. Abdul-Jabbar is here from West Oak Lane. Bilal from South Jersey. I see you all. If you want to get in, it's 215-634-8065. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Brothers and sisters, don't miss The Source. Weekdays 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Word Radio, WordRadio.com, and the Word Radio app. WordRadio.com. Want the latest in Word swag? Check out the shop tab on WordRadio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on WordRadio.com. Show the world that you're all about black. Talk Media.
The Uptown Theater presents the Chairman's Ball on Saturday, October 26th from 7:30 to 10:30 p.m. at the Berean Presbyterian Church, located at 2101 North Broad Street. Masquerade attire, black and white, is optional. Call 215-236-1878.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. Want to remind you, we got the onWURD Environmental Justice Summit coming up. That's October 20th from 2 to 5 at Bartram's Garden. We're going to have an interactive conversation about environmental racism, and it's going to feature John Francis, Janine Kayumbe, Zuline Mayfield, Joanne Douglas, ill-fated natives, and more. If you want to RSVP for that event, go to WURDradio.com or call 215-425-7875. The onWURD Environmental Justice Summit is supported by the Wyncote Foundation and Broken Philly, a project of Resolve Philadelphia. So we're going to go back to the phone lines. We're going to take your calls at 215-634-8065. Talking about a number of things. Michael White on trial for voluntary manslaughter. He's black. The person who died was white. Sean Challenger was a developer known as a hothead, had cocaine and alcohol in the system when he died, had a record of violent encounters up and down the East Coast. And so that is just a reality. But Michael White has a self-defense strategy. Will it work for him, given that he's black and the person who died was white? Also, what do we do to take the guns out of our children's hands? One of my son's classmates dead as a result of gun violence over the course of this weekend. 15 years old, man. What do we do? What are you willing to do to step in and to save the lives of our children? I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. Abdul-Jabbar from West Philly is online, too. Good morning, Abdul-Jabbar.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, brother. How about yourself?
I'm good.
That's good.
You know, I just called to just say once again to, any man that's listening to the radio, just take one child, two children, any children within their reach of vicinity, and just start caring for them and talking to them. You know, I understand some people don't feel comfortable, but I don't believe in that idea that these kids ain't going to listen to me. They don't care. No, they do.
Yeah, they do.
I've seen it happen, and when I started opening up, it helped to change me. Because it felt like an out-of-body experience initially, because I used to be that kid in trouble. So my thing is, my idea of weapons and the use of weapons as an adult, it has nothing to do with me trying to communicate that to children that have access to these weapons, and they're just being reckless with them, and people acting like they don't know how they got there. We need to accept responsibility in our community, and for the men that and or women that are
Abdul-Jabbar, you breaking up a little bit. You said we need to take responsibility in our community, then we lost you for a second.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm breaking. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, I'm just saying we need to pay attention to who these people are, find out who's putting these guns in the hands of our children, and deal with them. There ain't no such thing as snitching. You destroying our community, you put these weapons in their hands, you ain't no kin to me. So have a good day.
How about that? Thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go to Zahir from West Oak Lane. Zahir from West Oak Lane on line 3. Good morning.
Good morning, Solomon.
How you doing, brother?
Brother, you're doing a hell of a job. I just want to let you know that.
Thank you, man.
I wasn't able to be there Friday because I had to get this tooth extracted. Man,
okay.
That was a battle. But so far as Michael White, I think the brother did what he had to do. Like, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6.
How about that?
And I'm not going to hesitate. The police don't hesitate when their life is in danger. How can a civilian hesitate when our life is in danger? And so far, the conversation you was having yesterday about brutality and how can we deal with it, well, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King dealt with it, especially when they came together. Because Malcolm had the military reform, like, look, if y'all don't do what Martin says, then you got to follow with us. So we're going to deal with your behind. Martin said, well, we want to appeal to your humane side and see how that works. I guess it works a little bit. But so far as the guns in our community, I was in a home the other day with 3 women, you know.
Yeah.
And they had this little boy. He was like, what, 3 years old, running around playing with a plastic gun. I said, take that gun out of his hand because he's learning the wrong thing. He's pointing at people's faces, shooting because he thinks it's fun. And the reason I said that because I had 2 nephews growing up, and I told their mothers, don't let them play with guns. course, both of them went to jail because when I went to a gun show, and it was mostly white people there, and this little girl had to be 9 years old. She pointed at a 9mm. That was the first one I had when I was little. I said, what? See, their parents teach them the responsible way to deal with guns. We look at them like it's a joke. Just go around just shooting, having fun. We can't do that. But the last thing I want to say, so far as the gun violence, I'm 62 years old now. I grew up in North Philadelphia, 15, 9, 12, and it's frustrating when you're broke and you're being clowned and you don't have anything, you can't get the proper clothes, the proper diet, none of that. It's frustrating. So take that when you got these rappers talking about spraying up the block, you step on my toe, Cardi B and all them talking all this nonsense, and you feed them to that because there's nothing else to tell you something different. So you feed them to that nonsense. So when you see somebody, because you're already frustrated, you just go at them. You look around in the stores or not by us. You look around, the police are coming at us. You look around and your father's in jail, your brother's in jail. So you on your own. Now the solution to me, the masses and the churches need to come together and look. Not no once in a while. We got to go talk to these brothers because they're hurting. They don't have that direction I had because the old heads taught me, look, boy, stay in line, I'll bust you up. They don't have that. I talk to my nephews and this and that. And the ones in the street, you try to approach them, they angry. They don't know you.
Yeah.
You like a problem.
Right.
They will come at you.
Right. I hear you. And I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WRD Radio. One thing that's happening, there's a program called the Community Forgiveness and Restoration Program. And they work through churches and mosques in order to bring brothers who are getting out of prison back into the community with a foundation of support. And so it is spiritual support. It is employment support. It is moral support so that there is someone to get them while they are willing to get back on the right track. Because I ain't never seen nobody get out of jail. Well, yeah, I have. I've seen people get out of jail and they want to do the wrong thing again because they're like, okay, I did it wrong the first time. This how I got to do it this time, right? And then they get caught up again. But a lot of times, man, when people get out of jail, they want to do the right thing, but the only ones willing to embrace them are the people who they got in trouble with in the first place, the people who they had out in the street with them. We have to begin to bring people back into the community, knowing that if we don't grab them, they will once again become a problem, right? Because really they don't have any other choice. So that means learning how to forgive our own, right? We quick to forgive other folks for stuff they do to us, but we need to learn how to forgive our own folk. Bring them back into the community, give them a basis from which to operate, and walk with them until they learn how to do right and walk on their own. Like, that's what we need to do. That's with grown men, right? But before that, we need to be getting with kids and walking with them too, and teaching them how to do right, showing them an example of how you can make it without resorting to hurting your community, without resorting to ruining your life and the life of someone else, without resorting to negative behavior. Like, we need to show them you can make it without doing all that, right? And if it's any brother within the sound of my voice who is doing the right thing, then you need to be walking that out in front of a boy, in front of a girl, in front of our kids, so that they can see, wait a minute, he's doing it this way. That's an option for me too. We ain't nobody coming for us, man, but us. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. Soon as white folks got on heroin, started overdosing, 80% of the overdoses from opioids like heroin and other drugs like it, almost 80% of them in 2017 was white folks. Now, all of a sudden, you see white people coming to say we need to save our own. And that's cool. You go ahead, you save your own, long as you do it within the law, long as you're not doing something that we are still in jail for. I'm for it. You go ahead, you save your own. We need to be doing the same thing. 215-634-8065 is the number. I'm going to go back to the phone lines, and we're going to talk with Sister Mary from Northern Liberties online too. Go ahead, Sister Mary.
Hey, good morning, brother. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I just to collaborate on what you discussing and talking about the 80% of the opium are white people, and it is true because see, they didn't want to give the drugs to the black people, so what they did was they saved those drugs for the white people. But what happened? They got hooked on the drugs. Now they don't know how to get them off the drugs. So it goes back way deeper than what we see. And in our neighborhoods, we got all these little...
Well, I don't understand that, but I do want to say this, that 80% of those who are dying from overdoses from those drugs are white. I just want to make that correction, but you go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 80% of them are dying because they can't get them off of it. So now we got all these little clinics all over the place with needles all around the kids' schools and all kinds of stuff, which makes it even worse in our neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
So we go from one situation to another situation, and then going back to you talking about grabbing some of our own children and trying to bring them up the right way, the young kids, which don't have fathers in the household, who's growing with one parent, and mom has to work all the time. And you try and talk to some of these young kids, and I mean young, when I say young, starting like 8, 9, 10, their attitudes are so disrespectful already. So trying to talk to them and tell them, hey, you know, you might pull up to a gas station, get some gas, a kid out there, hey, I'll pump your gas for a couple of dollars, and then you challenge them and say, hey, I don't want you to pump my gas, young man. I would like for you to read this book. And then this kid goes off on you about, yo, oh, hey, you're trying to get up in my head. Like, you're talking a 9, 10-year-old, first of all, you should be home doing your homework.
Well, here's the thing, and I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. You know, sometimes I'll give the kid $1 and just say, look, be careful. Don't worry about it. You ain't got to pump my gas. It goes for money. You know, just be careful. You know, because I remember what it was like to go out and hustle. I wanted some extra money, so I might, you know, carry some of my bags at the supermarket or what have you. And so to me, that's an innocent thing. I think, you know, you try to engage them in conversation, but certainly I understand what you're talking about. I've seen kids, not even kids, grown men, but very young, you know, early 20s, begging outside of Wawa. Why are you begging outside of Wawa? Right. And, you know, I've asked at least one young man, I asked him, well, why are you out here asking for money? Oh, I didn't ask for money. Well, that's what you're doing, though. You ain't got to say it, but that's what you're doing. You opening the door for people. Good morning. How you doing? And you sitting there, you asking for money. Right. And so I think we have to figure out how to engage people who are in that situation. A lot of times people who do that, a lot of times they're on drugs. Right. A lot of times they got, you know, some kind of habit that they're trying to support, a habit that won't allow them to go to work and stay there for 8 hours and make money because I got to fulfill my habit. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'll engage them in conversation and sometimes I'll pray with them. Depends on how the conversation goes. Sometimes I'll give them some money. Sometimes I won't. But I think that, you know, given the stuff that we have gone through and continue to go through, given the way that this society is set up for certain people to fail and for certain people to advance, it's a wonder that more of us are not in a bad situation, in a deficit situation like that. And so we have to figure out how to put things in place so that our people don't have to go to that point. And sometimes, you know, sometimes you got to, because you done burnt every bridge, you done burnt everybody, and it's like, all right, well, you know, I got to wait till you get ready to do right. But for those who might be open to doing right, what kind of infrastructure do we have set up for them so that we can support them until they can walk on their own? I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. Diane from South Philly is on line 3. Go ahead, Diane.
Hi, Solomon. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. I'm good. My condolences go out to you and your son, because I feel the pain, and I hear the pain in your voice, and that is a hurting thing. Because, you know, I have 3 sons, and they lost a lot of friends, you know, the high school friends, and that hurts, you know, that hurts and it hurts you too, because when you see your children hurt, you hurt. But I think that okay, back in our days, in our time, in the 70s, it was a man named Melvin Floyd, and he used to come to all the high school, because back then it was game war, and you know it now.
Yeah.
And he used to show us these really drafted pictures, people, got stabbed up and everything. And I think that woke up a lot of people in our school, go around in school, and then talk about self-control, too, a lot of, like stress and all that stuff. But me, myself, what I do, what I'm doing, like the guys on my block, the young people on my block, I try to talk to them. I bring them in my house, and I have a dinner for them. And they love, when you have a Sunday dinner, a lot of these kids don't even sit at the table with their family.
Right.
A lot of times they just want to be loved. They want you to talk to them, not talk down to them.
Right.
And Solomon, I'm going to be quiet. But it's this one young man, Solomon, he didn't have a job. He's 25 years old, never had a job, dropped out of high school or whatever. And I talked to him. Nice young man, but the family didn't encourage him. And now this young man is working for Amazon, making $15 an hour, have his own car because he have to drive all the way to Jersey. And his life has changed, Solomon.
That's
so we
great.
have to talk to them and show them when we see jobs, and we know there are a lot of young people don't have jobs, let them know about the jobs.
That's right. That's
and
right.
they will respond, Solomon. So we have to do more, and we all can do something. We all can do something with these young people.
That's right.
But thank you so much for your show, and God bless you, and thank you for all that you do.
God bless you, too, and thank you so much for your call this morning on WRD. Let's try to get one more. Bilal from South Jersey is on line 4. Go ahead, Bilal.
Hey, good morning, Solomon, man. How you doing? I wanted to commend WRD and yourself for always putting our issues forth to the public and our concerns, and to come in on what you were saying earlier about the stress of being black in America, man. That's an ungodly stress. I think that's probably what leads to a lot of us doing self-medication and all the other problems and traumas that we have to deal with on a daily basis. A lot of people don't speak to that, but it is a wonder how we can even survive on a daily basis just dealing with so much stress.
Yep.
I think it's a deeply rooted psychological post-trauma that we're dealing with.
I agree.
I appreciate what you're doing, and keep up the good work, man. You put forth our issues very professionally and profoundly, and I want to thank you and WRD for that.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate your call this morning. We are going to go to break, and on the other side, we're going to do What's Trending, because there's some stories we need to talk about as well. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Brothers and sisters, don't miss The Source. Weekdays 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on WURD Radio, WURDRadio.com, and the WURD Radio app.
At Dietz & Watson, we've spent over 75 years focusing on the details. This can be traced back to our founder, Gottlieb Dietz, who learned how to make franks and sausages the right way in Germany. Today, each one of our delicious offerings is meticulously crafted using perfected details. Because if it isn't good enough for our family, it isn't good enough for yours. To us, the details make all the difference.
Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation?
Follow us on social media
using the hashtag onWURD.
Be heard.
Stay connected to WURD Radio.
Independent Black Media.
The Delaware Art Museum is pleased to present Posing Beauty in African American Culture. Opening October 19th, this exhibition examines the contested ways in which African and African American beauty have been represented in historical and contemporary contexts through a diverse range of media from the 1980s to the present, including photography, film, video, fashion, and advertising. Posing Beauty is on view October 19th through January 26, 2020. Learn more at delart.org.
Some knowledge belongs to us and us alone. The way our girlfriends walk, the way they talk, the way they touch their hair. We hold details that only a sister can know about her girls. But what about our other girls? The ones that we carry with us every day. Can we describe them when everything's right? Can we feel when something's wrong? Our bond with our sister girls gives life. But knowing your breasts can save it. Go to knowyourgirls.org for the facts you need on breast health. That's knowyourgirls.org. Brought to you by Susan G. Coleman and the Ad Council.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD. All circuits are busy. Here's what's trending.
Yo, that's crazy.
On Wake Up with Word.
Hillary Clinton is the latest public figure to throw her support behind Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, in the midst of the Sussex's legal battle against a British tabloid. I do want to say that the way she's been treated is inexplicable, said Hillary Clinton, and she also did not shy away from the idea that racism might be at play when it comes to the treatment of Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. Story number 2, the White House, the Pentagon, and President Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, on Tuesday all refused to comply with House Democrats' impeachment inquiry subpoenas, escalating the fight between the administration and Democratic lawmakers. Democrats set a Tuesday deadline for Defense Secretary Mark Esper, Giuliani, and the White House to turn over documents. They didn't do it. I'm waiting for somebody to go to jail. Story number 3, on Saturday, a 10-year-old South Jersey girl became at least the 5th rider to be thrown to her death since 2000 from the Sizzler, a spinning carnival ride. Here's what experts say. You have to keep your fanny in the seat, your back against the seat back, your feet on the floor, and your hands on the lap bar. If you do, it's one of the safest rides on the Midway. And that is what's trending. You can, of course, go to our website, WURDradio.com. That's where you can check out our top stories and read them in their entirety. I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in. We're talking about a number of things on today's show, including the Michael White case. Michael White, of course, a young black man. He is accused of stabbing to death developer Sean Skellinger, who at the time of his death had alcohol, cocaine in his system, had a record of being involved in violent encounters, and tried to throw Michael White to the ground, and Michael White stabbed him, and Sean Skellinger, of course, lost his life. And now Michael White on trial for voluntary manslaughter, and he's using a self-defense strategy. Is that strategy going to work for Michael White? It certainly works when other folks kill us. I want to know what you think. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio, 215-634-8065. That's the number. Somebody just sent a message on Facebook. Of course, you can watch us live on Facebook at 4Word. Reference to some shirts that some folks had on at the Temple University homecoming. Now, of course, Temple University is my alma mater. I love the school dearly, but like any large institution located in a black community, there is some tension there. And as Temple University grows, unfortunately, some black folk tend to pay the price. The community around it is gentrifying. Renters are being pushed out. People are being cheated, not necessarily by Temple, but by developers who buy their property very low and then sell it high. So we've seen a lot happen in that area. And so when somebody put on a shirt, a T-shirt that said HBCU-ish, right, like black-ish, at Temple's homecoming, people went off. And it's interesting. I did write about it in yesterday's Daily News and Inquirer, today's rather, Daily News and Inquirer. My editor suggested that I do so. And, you know, I'm not blaming Temple for that, because Temple did not manufacture those shirts. Those shirts are sold on a website called Motif, right, by an entity that has nothing to do with Temple University. Having said that, Temple is not an HBCU. They never claimed to be an HBCU, nor should they ever claim to be an HBCU. When I talked with their spokesman, Ray Betzner, yesterday for my column, he said, look, we would not do that because they understand that they are not a historically black college or university. And so in terms of that shirt and what that shirt represents, you know, it's probably a poor decision to make a shirt that says Temple University HBCU-ish. It's not, right? Because historically black colleges and universities came about as a result of necessity. Historically black colleges and universities came about because they had to. Historically, black colleges and universities came about because black people could not get into white colleges and universities or predominantly white institutions. We couldn't get in. And so those came about as a result of racism. And they survived on shoestring budgets despite the fact that you had the whole society fighting against them, because we live in a society that doesn't believe that black people should have the opportunity to be educated, should have the opportunity to compete, should have the opportunity to get the jobs that other folk get just based on the color of their skins. They don't think we should have those jobs, don't think we should ever qualify for those jobs. And so historically black colleges and universities have existed against that resistance for centuries, right? And though Temple University has a wonderful origin story, right? It started as a night school for working class people who wanted to get college degrees but couldn't afford to go to a traditional college. That's a wonderful origin story, but it's not the same as an HBCU. Temple knows that. We know that. And so those shirts that were worn by some people that were not made by Temple, but that were worn by some people at that homecoming, those shirts are inappropriate. Those shirts are offensive, right? Because going to Temple, for those who went there when Temple was founded, that was a choice. Going to HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, when they were created against the backlash of a white society, that was a necessity. So it's two different things. So that's what I have to say about that. You can, of course, read my column on that issue. It is on Philly.com today. I will put the link on our Facebook feed so you can check that out there as well. 215-634-8065 is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let's go to the phone lines. Talk to Jamila from North Philly on line 1. Go ahead.
Hey, Solomon. How are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. And to the audience, Solomon, I understand what you're saying about this T-shirt that I did hear about at homecoming. You know, youth will do a lot of interesting things. Maybe some of them wish they were at HBCU.
Maybe so.
You know, and want to tell that story. But I wonder about the African-American alum of Temple. Is there a group?
There is.
Okay, I guess I need to do a shout-out. Maybe you would have them on so we could hear more about what they are doing in the North Philadelphia community at Temple, because as much as I hear us talk about the developers, all the changes that are going on, the growing Temple student body each semester.
Yeah.
I don't hear, like, what are we going to do about some of these issues? We are dealing with a lot of these issues as it relates to the developers coming into the community. And I find that a lot of them are Temple students who have graduated and decided to stay around and buy up the blocks. And I just want to make certain that our African-American Temple graduates, all of the Temple's graduates throughout the years, are doing something that's of value to them, to the community, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
What would you have us to do? What do you want us to do?
Buy up a couple blocks.
Buy up a couple of blocks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just buy the box.
All right.
I mean, we were here, right?
Yeah.
And we attended Temple. I didn't. I'm sorry. they attend the temple, and I see what's happening with some of the other developers, and I'm looking for, somebody besides Sean. Big Daddy is the name. Yeah, but we will be supportive, I'm sure, as we see African American developers come through and do their thing.
Fair enough.
Please.
Fair enough. Thank you, Jamila. All right. I hear you. And I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Dealing with property in Philadelphia is interesting, man. One of the things I've learned is that it's difficult. It's difficult because you have to have a nice little pot of money, right, to fix up a property that has been neglected or abandoned. It needs major systems done. One major system, a plumbing system, might cost you $10,000, right? $10,000 to $15,000, depending on if you have to get outside pipes, right? The electrical system might cost you $10,000 to $12,000, right? The HVAC system might cost you $10,000 to $15,000. So you already about $40,000 in before you even start fixing anything in the house, right? Anything aesthetically. And then what the city does is says you have to have contractors who are licensed by the city, and in order for them to be licensed by the city and qualified to get a permit to do that work, I'm just trying to tell y'all what it takes to do it, right? In order for your contractor to be qualified to get a permit to do that work, they have to have all of their taxes paid up to the city, right? And they also have to have a license. A lot of our folks don't necessarily have that. And if you have a contractor who has that, who's licensed in the city to do that work, then that contractor is going to charge you more. But not only that, you have to have a general contractor who is going to oversee the project, and then you have to have subcontractors under that contractor to deal with each system in the house, right? The HVAC system, the electrical system, the plumbing system, those are called the mechanical systems in the house. Right? Now, if you're dealing with an old house that has been abandoned for some time, a lot of times what a contractor will tell you is that I want to frame out the whole house, which means ripping out, right, gut the house, right, rip out what's there, put in new framing for the house, and then put in the new systems inside and over top of that new framing. Right, which increases the price exponentially. So you might be talking about buying the property, I don't know, for if you get it at a bargain, $70,000, $80,000, right, and then putting in another $100,000 in order to get it. So not only do you have to have these contractors with these licenses that the city has made it harder for you to do, right, but then you also have to have this capital to put into the property in order to get it done. And if they come through and say, oh, well, you got asbestos, that's another 20 grand. If you want to do apartments, you got to do sprinklers, that's another 20 grand. So it begins to accumulate exponentially. And so it's not easy, man, to be able to do this, with these properties. Certainly we can come together, band together, figure out how we get that money to do it. But it ain't easy, man. It is not easy by a long shot. So that is the challenge that we have, and that is the challenge that we're going to have to step up to in order to really step into these gentrifying communities and be able to compete with those who have unlimited money to do it. That's going to do it for today's show. I want to thank everybody who tuned in, all of our guests who joined us on today's show, including Zuline Mayfield, who is, of course, one of our guests that is going to be joining us for the EcoWord Summit on October 20th from 2 to 5, and Lynn Washington, Temple University professor, who joined us as well. Dear Melanie's going to be back next week. Her puppy was sick today, so she couldn't join us today. So she's going to be back next week, and we look forward to that. And now, for Jordan Booth sitting in for Kawesa Mathis and everybody here at WURD Radio, I am your host, Solomon Jones, saying tune in tomorrow at 7 for more Wake Up with Word. Peace.
EcoWord. Wednesdays on Reality Check with Charles Ellison.
4 p.m. till 7 p.m.
Right here on Word Radio.
And WordRadio.com.
This hour was brought to you by Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church. Visit EnonTab.org. Enon, a place where people encounter God.
When is the last time your doctor spent time with you, listening to your concerns and answering your questions? Do you feel like your